Mikhail wakes up in a familiar room and can barely contain his joy. He's managed to use his magic to regress 20 years into the past. The first thing he decides to do is check his level of magical power. Unfortunately, he hasn't even reached the third circle of magic yet, but he knows exactly how to fix that. He just needs to change the flow of mana within his body. Previously, it was believed that the optimal flow was clockwise inside the body, but our MC discovered a more effective method: free circulation. To achieve this, he must create 12 circulation points that allow mana to flow through all points simultaneously. It's not a painless process, and an ordinary mage could easily explode from it. But Mikhail succeeds and immediately unlocks the fourth circle of magic thanks to his more efficient mana control. Now he can move straight to the next level. For example, he can use ice and fire magic simultaneously, or even manipulate several elements at once. But why was such a brilliant mage forced to regress? The MC of our story was the strongest mage of mankind, the first who reached the ninth circle of magic. Together with a team of the best warriors and a legendary hero, he stood against the Demon King and his army. Unfortunately, the hero was not so legendary and died first before they reached the final battle. Without the hero, it was impossible to defeat the Demon King, but their party valiantly decided to try it out. They fought bravely and desperately, but failed. In the last seconds of his life, our mage managed to unlock the 10th circle of magic and use a risky, unique spell allowing him to regress. In the end, he succeeded, and even though the Demon King killed him, he went back 20 years. Back in the present, just as he finishes his training, his enraged father bursts into the room. He rushed in as soon as he learned that Mikhail had regained consciousness, all because our hero was left in such a battered state after trying to break off his relationship with the daughter of a swordsman family. His father's voice booms as he demands answers for his son's reckless actions. Instead of making excuses, Mikhail surprises him by admitting his mistakes. His candid confession leaves his father stunned, as his son openly acknowledges the shame he has brought to their family. The consequences are dire if his father's threats are serious. He promises to break his son's legs. Mikhail has no intention of accepting his father's threats. Instead, he urges him to listen to his carefully crafted plan. Our boy argues that the Duke of the Lindell family was wrong to demand an engagement annulment. This perspective catches his father's attention, forcing him to acknowledge the validity of his point. The arrogance their family has shown in dealing with the Lindells is becoming a serious issue. It is time for our boy to present the core of his bold plan. Mikhail begins by admitting his own shortcomings. He shares that his transformation occurred around the age of 23, before which he was weak and indecisive. His lack of conviction and physical fragility made him an unlikely suitor for the strong Lindell family. Their engagement, based on false assumptions, was doomed from the start. He recalls that she had expressed her dislike for unmanly men, a sentiment that still bothers him. He wonders if she had been misled by the same deception, or if her feelings were genuine. He then shifts the conversation to the terms of their engagement with the Lindell kingdom. The main condition had been that no external mana training could be done, preserving the purity of the bloodline. Our boy and his father both recognize the importance of having a successor, especially if they are to follow the paths of the knight or the mage, where bloodline is crucial. Our boy asks his father a hypothetical question to gauge his reaction. What if Island had broken their agreement? His father's shock is clear as Mikhail explains his theory. He believes she had secretly been training to be a knight even before their engagement. His father, stunned by this idea, asks if his son's claim is true. His son admits he has exaggerated, but he has a reason behind it. Mikhail fabricated the story to test his father's ability to detect lies. His father is impressed by his son's sharpness. Our boy then hints at his suspicions about an ancient magical tool since his father, an eighth circle, cannot detect her mana. Meanwhile, at the Lindell mansion, Island continues her intense training. Her father asks about Mikhail's actions after their confrontation, and she is sure her actions have gone unnoticed. Her father agrees. Both are doubtful that our boy will be her partner, as the influence of Marquis Walpurgissurgis casts a shadow over their thoughts. The Marquis is aware of their secret, and complications will arise. Even though the Walpurgissurgis family's fame is great, a hidden magical tool can still escape their notice. Island's powers are growing, and she is beginning to sense an aura, a sign of her exceptional talent, making her a questionable choice for a politically arranged marriage. Island asks her father about the engagement proposal from the Parslope country, curious about the arrival of Leon Parslope, the sword genius and the next sword saint. Island knows Leon would be a better choice. They are both informed of an arrival, but it is not Leon. It is the Walpurgissurgis family. At the mansion, Mikhail approaches the Lindell residence, with his butler visibly worried about the upcoming confrontation. Our boy reassures him, determined and ready to face the Lindell family and the revelations ahead. The scene shifts back to our boy's chamber, where his father asks about the ancient magic tool. Mikhail confidently confirms its existence. He explains that his earlier behavior had been a deliberate tactic to gather evidence. The conversation turns to Island's knowledge of the magic tool, her involvement in its use, and her true intentions behind the engagement annulment. Our boy suggests that once the engagement is dissolved, they can come up with reasons to justify their actions. His father gives an ultimatum. If our boy is lying, the consequences will be severe. Mikhail will lose his title as successor and tarnish the Walpurgis family's prestigious name. Well, it goes without saying that Mikhail acpeated the ultimatum. As the story shifts to the upcoming encounter with the Lindell family, the butler remains anxious, while our boy remains resolute. He has a plan and is ready for whatever comes next. Aylin's father is shocked to hear about Mikhail Walpurgis' arrival. Mares decides to act quickly, instructing a soldier to deliver a message. He informs the soldier that he has plans for the day and cannot meet him at that moment. The soldier quickly goes to where our boy is. Mikhail, upon receiving the message, seems to understand the situation without showing any outward reaction. The soldier is relieved, thinking GE has accepted the message without objection. The butler, experienced in diplomacy and protocol, is still concerned about the true intentions behind his young master visit. Mikhail thinks about the plan that has been hinted at but not explained, trying to understand the purpose behind this mysterious meeting. However, he keeps his own intentions hidden, maintaining a confident and calm demeanor. He signals for the butler to follow him as they walk through the mansion's garden. The young master chooses a spot under an old tree and sits down. The soldier asks why he has decided to rest in the garden. Mikhail's answer is simple. He is waiting for the people he has come to meet. Our boy dismisses the idea that the wait might last for 2 days, suggesting instead that it is a matter of patience. The soldier understands the situation, especially with Count Parslope arriving soon. The soldier tells him he will escort him back, placing his hand on him to signal to move. Mikhail responds that even if the engagement is nullified, he was once the fiancé of the lady he served and is the rightful heir of the Walpurgis family. With a serious expression and blue mana glowing around him, he tells the soldier to move his hand. The soldier, intimidated, backs off. Our boy then asks if the soldier is someone important enough to lay a hand on a Walpurgis. The soldier immediately apologizes and can't believe how much our boy has changed in such a short time. Just days ago, Mikhail struggled to breathe in front of him, but now he is confident and commanding. Our boy tells the soldier that if he wants to force him out, he will give him a quicker way to do so. The soldier returns to Aylin's father and reports that he has ordered Aylin to come out immediately. Her father can't believe it and has a bad feeling about the situation. The soldier offers to remove Mikhail by force if given the order. Aylin's father declines, saying that this situation can't be solved with force. Aylin then decides to go out by herself, telling her father that she can simply turn him away like last time. She instructs the soldier to take her to the gate where he is waiting. However, the soldier notices a change in Mikhail's demeanor. The soldier hesitates, but when Aylin asks if something is wrong, he assures her there is no problem and escorts her to the gate. Back at the manor, the butler asks our boy about his sudden actions. He explains that the timing is crucial, with Count Parslope's arrival scheduled for that day. The Parslope family is set to rise in rank, especially with Leon Parslope being seen as the next Sword Saint. Mikhail had known him before his regression, and believes it is important to meet him as soon as possible. Our boy has business to attend to, and the situation is urgent. The butler, noticing his young master behavior, speculates that he might have been training without Marchios's knowledge. Mikhail, puzzled by the question, asks the butler what he means. The butler mentions that he has noticed his young master's strength is greater than that of the third circle, despite him not being a mage, but just Marchios's aid. The butler believes Mikhail might have used forbidden methods to increase his rank. Our boy then extends his hand, inviting the butler to inspect it. To their surprise, the butler discovers that his young master has reached the 4th circle. Mikhail has achieved the 4th circle just 2 days ago, which surprises the butler. The butler checks his young master body for any signs of prohibited methods but finds none. Our boy assures him that his progress is due to his innate talent. The butler, curious about how this happened, asks Mikhail to share the story. With a smile, he reveals that his father kicked him as part of the process. The butler struggles to believe our boy's unorthodox method, joking that if Mikhail endures 5 more kicks, he might reach the 9th circle. Despite this, the butler asks if his young master visit is due to anger after his ascension to the 4th circle. Our boy questions what the downfall of the Lindell family would mean, and the butler suggests it would cause great disorder. Mikhail stresses his commitment to preventing the ducal family from losing its importance as a pillar of the empire. He acknowledges that the fall of the Lindell family has worsened the empire's chaos, and he intends to take action. As they talk, Aylin approaches and asks if there is more to discuss, believing everything has already been addressed. Our boy insists on taking his time to talk and asks if there is a significant guest arriving. Aylin, surprised, can't respond, as Leon Parslope is not involved in her family's politics and focuses mainly on his sword skills. Mikhail senses that Leon's strong sense of justice will not accept the unilateral dissolution of the engagement, which had been based on certain premises. Island seems shocked as Mikhail hints that an unfair situation might have caused the engagement to end. He urges her to provide an official statement from the Lindell family. At that moment, the soldier enters, disapproving of our boy Walpurgis' behavior and pushing him against a tree, emphasizing that even as the heir of Walpurgis, such rudeness won't be tolerated. Our boy criticizes the soldier for his inappropriate conduct, pointing out that he lacks understanding of when to intervene. Island Lindell intervenes, instructing the soldier to release Mikhail and reminding him that it is the knight's duty to uphold the family's honor. The soldier complies, and our boy finds the situation unimportant. He suggests moving to a more suitable location for their conversation, as the current setting is not ideal. Island agrees and invites him inside, though the knight mentions her prior appointment. She dismisses the concern, saying they can address it later as the conversation won't take long. As our boy and his loyal butler, Murden, enter the grand Lindell mansion, a sense of nostalgia washes over him. Murden remarks that Mikhail's visits to the estate have been rare, a fact hard to ignore. Irritated, Mikhail brushes off the comment, hoping for a more agreeable response. With a touch of humor, he suggests that Murden could at least pretend to share his sentiment. The butler counters playfully, comparing his young master to an elderly man stuck in the past. Although the comment is meant in jest, it only deepens Mikhail's annoyance. Their light-hearted bickering fades as Murden shifts the conversation to the reason for their visit to the Lindell mansion. Despite arriving with the presence expected of a marquis, our boy has come alone, which Murden finds unusual. Unbothered, our boy responds with a laugh, stating that he sees no need for an entourage when his trusted butler is by his side. Their camaraderie shines as Mikhail jokes that Murden is his most reliable ally. Their walk through the mansion ends in a richly decorated living room. Our boy, eager to address the matter, acknowledges the value of Island Lindell's time. Despite the urgency, he expresses his wish to speak with her privately, instructing her knight to wait outside. Seated across from one another, Island, poised and composed, listens intently. Mikhail wastes no time and accuses her of lying to him. She remains calm, asking him to elaborate. With a resolute tone, our boy raises the matter of the solemn promise between their noble families. A promise prohibiting mana training when engaged. He presses her to recall the agreement, his words firm and unwavering. Island's expression shifts subtly as a hint of unease flickers across her face. However, she denies any breach of the promise, asserting that her family has upheld the agreement. To her, our boy's accusation appears baseless, though the tension in the room lingers. Mikhail remains firm, stating his intent to personally verify Island Lindell's claims. Though he isn't in a rush, doubts linger in his mind about the fairness of the Lindell family. To resolve the matter, he proposes settling it in front of a neutral and respected party, the Parslope family. A grand carriage arrives at the Lindell mansion as the scene shifts. Leon Parslope steps out, taking in the stark contrast between the grandeur of the Lindell estate and his own family's modest surroundings. The Lindell mansion stands unmatched in its splendor, a testament to their status. As the Empire's fifth-ranked knight, Leon senses the gravity of the day's events. His hand instinctively rests on the hilt of his sword, prepared for any challenge. The idea of a friendly duel crosses Leon's mind, intriguing him. However, his loyal knight advises caution, stressing the importance of diplomacy and discouraging any provocation toward the Lindell family's esteemed guests. With a reluctant nod, Leon sets aside his enthusiasm, understanding the wisdom in the advice. Their conversation shifts to the recent move of the Parslope family to the Empire's center. Leon reflects on his father's insistence on relocating, curious about the reasons behind the decision. The knight explains that the Count family sought to escape the Empire's border, a location often viewed as unfavorable for nobility. Border families, often overlooked by the Emperor, risk fading into obscurity. This fear compelled the Count family to seek better opportunities at the Empire's heart. Talk of nobility naturally transitions to the engagement cancellation between Island Lindell and our boy Walpurgis. Familiar with the noble families involved, Leon finds the decision puzzling and wonders if there are hidden motives behind it. The knight assures him there's nothing suspicious about Island. As a member of the Lindell family and the Walpurgis lineage, her reputation is beyond question. However, rumors surrounding our boy suggest he might not have been the best match. Leon, sensing the situation's complexity, resolves to uncover the truth. There's more to this than meets the eye, and his instincts tell him it's worth investigating. Meanwhile, back at the Lindell mansion, Island was startled by the depth of Mikhail's knowledge regarding the sacred promise between their families. His assertiveness unsettled her, his piercing gaze seeming to peel away any veneer of certainty she tried to maintain. The weight of his scrutiny was palpable, as if he were silently demanding answers she wasn't yet ready to confront. Though his presence carried an air of authority that was difficult to ignore, Island held on to her composure. She acknowledged his standing, not just as a guest in their home, but as the official representative of the Walpurgis family, fully entitled to investigate the truth behind her family's actions. With deliberate precision, our boy pulls out the emblem of the Walpurgis family. The glint of the artifact catches Island's eye, and for a moment, her usually calm demeanor falters. The emblem's significance is unmistakable. Our boy explains that it grants him the authority to represent the Walpurgis family in all official matters, leaving no room for dispute. By presenting the emblem, our boy makes it clear that the Walpurgis family is now tied to the discussion. Any dishonesty will not only reflect poorly on the Lindell family but also make Island an adversary of the Walpurgis family. With a serious expression, he questions her hesitation, suggesting it raises doubts about her honesty. Understanding the seriousness of the situation, Island responds carefully. She highlights the gravity of his accusations and the potential consequences for both families. Uncertain about the next steps, she realizes she is at a difficult crossroads. The tension in the room grows as a commanding presence enters. Island's father, the Empire's 5th-ranked knight and one of the 12 swordmasters, strides in. A man who would one day lose everything to the demon god, he acknowledges Mikhail's identity and wonders if he has inherited the mythical dragon heart from his father. Our boy replies casually, stating he has never even seen the artifact. The Duke reflects on the secretive nature of Marquis Walpurgis, who has kept the dragon heart hidden, even from his own son. Their conversation reveals a sense of familiarity and respect, which our boy openly acknowledges. However, Mikhail doesn't let the discussion end there. With a slight smile, he presses the Duke for more details about the dissolution of the engagement, suggesting there is more to the story. The Duke states that the engagement ended purely because our boy was seen as unsuitable, nothing more. Our boy, unconvinced, directly accuses Island of secretly training her aura while still engaged to him. The Duke laughs at the accusation, dismissing it as absurd. He claims that, as the Empire's 5th strongest knight, he would have known if his daughter had been training in secret. Mikhail, however, does not back down. He implies that the Duke is aware of the truth but chooses to ignore it. He suggests Island may have unintentionally developed aura abilities, and that her father decided to prioritize her swordsmanship talent over her engagement. Despite these claims, the Duke continues to deny any knowledge of secret aura training. Privately, our boy acknowledges that the Duke has acted cleverly. The magical tool concealing Island's aura has even eluded Mikhail's father's perception. Additionally, the Duke's strong aura makes it hard for Mikhail to read his true intentions. In a bold move, our boy reveals that he has detected the hidden aura. Both Island and the Duke are stunned by his ability to uncover the truth. The room grows tense as he challenges them to continue denying the facts. As he turns to leave, he mentions Leon Parslope's upcoming visit, hinting at a potential confrontation. The Duke, unwilling to let Mikhail leave, calls out to stop him. In a surprising turn, he proposes a truce, suggesting they consider the matter resolved. However, our boy, unimpressed, sees the Duke's words as more of his usual empty remarks. Our boy tells the Duke and Island that he is glad they have reached an agreement and says he will see them next time. Shocked, she can't believe Mikhail has noticed her magic device. She thinks he is bluffing, but now realizes he has truly figured it out. Worry sets in as she understands the Walpurgis family has discovered the flaw in the contract and might demand a higher price. Turning to her father for guidance, Island asks what they can do. He tells her to stay calm, admitting he underestimated our boy, thinking him inexperienced and naive. The Duke now finds him impressive and interesting. Island offers to take full responsibility for the issue, acknowledging her ignorance caused the problem. Her father, however, tells her that nothing will change, even if she takes responsibility. This is a matter between families, and he is the one who allowed it to happen. Reflecting, he admits that if he had noticed her aura awakening earlier, none of this would have occurred. No one, he muses, could have predicted that Island would awaken her aura on her own, without any training. Acknowledging her talent, he expresses his determination to protect it. The Duke explains that the Walpurgis family will demand a fair price because the chivalric code has been broken, but he believes they won't ask for anything unreasonable. Our boy, it seems, does not want their family to suffer. Island, still confused, listens as her father tells her that Mikhail isn't as foolish as she thinks. He advises her to watch and learn from him. Meanwhile, outside the mansion, a figure steps in our boy's path, Leon. Introducing himself, our boy finds Leon surprised by his presence. Leon asks why he is here, stating that he came to meet Princess Lindell. Mikhail admits to making some changes and causing trouble. Annoyed, Leon tells him he thinks too little of him. Our boy, unbothered, responds that he doesn't think that way. Leon, growing irritated, releases his aura. The intense pressure fills the air, and our boy notes how well-suited Leon is for the title of Sword Saint. Yet breaking through the aura with ease, Mikhail leaves Leon stunned. Amazed, Leon asks what just happened. Calmly, our boy tells him to listen before getting angry. Leon's expression shifts, and he questions if he is really Mikhail Walpurgis, the so-called famous idiot. With a smirk, our boy confirms it, adding that since it's not entirely a lie, he doesn't feel the need to deny it. The important thing is the present, as the demon invasion approaches. With a serious expression, our boy thinks he will never forgive the warrior who rose up before transcending. Leon, noticing his expression, prepares for a confrontation. Mikhail noticed Leon's face, twisted in anger, as if ready to lash out. There was a sense of fury radiating from him, and it wasn't hard to guess what was going on in his mind. Instead of responding with the same level of intensity, our boy remained composed and acknowledged the situation with a sense of calm determination. As the two stood there, the air between them shifted. Leon, initially fired up, gradually found himself settling down, his frustration giving way to a more measured response. In his past life, our boy had often been prone to anger, but over time, he had learned to control it, using it sparingly and with purpose. This control, which he humorously referred to as his selective anger management disorder, allowed him to navigate moments like these without losing his cool. Explaining his reason for being there, Mikhail tells Leon he came to set up an engagement with Islan, which should have proceeded unless something unexpected occurred. Leon, suspicious, asks if this interference is because he's angry about his engagement being broken. Dismissing the idea, our boy replies that Islan no longer matters to him. Instead, he points at Leon, declaring his interest lies elsewhere. A moment of silence follows as Leon steps away cautiously, reassuring him that he likes women. Confused, Leon then asks why he's interested in him. The answer is straightforward. Our boy wants Leon to become his ally. The scene shifts to the battlefield. Before Mikhail's regression, Leon is on the verge of death. Our boy acknowledges the fatal nature of Leon's wounds, recognizing the inevitable outcome. He reflects on how, had Leon begun aura training a year earlier, he might have defeated his enemy without losing his life. Despite his condition, he can't help but admire Leon's accomplishment, defeating Violon Algum, the commander of the demon god's third army. Mikhail recalls how an entire army was required to bring down the commander of the demon god's second army, but Leon paid the ultimate price for his victory. Our boy looks at Leon, wondering if he has any final words. Leon, despite the toll on his body, seems resigned, knowing it's too late. He places a hand on Leon's head, telling him to rest. Moments before drawing his last breath, Leon silently questions the truth behind the idea that he could never become a warrior. The scene shifts back to the present, where Mikhail and Leon sit together across a table. Our boy mentions a rumor circulating within the Divine Education Bureau. Leon nods, acknowledging the prophecy about a warrior destined to prevent the coming disaster. Leon, uninterested, dismisses the mention of a prophecy, claiming it's not the first time such predictions have been made. He questions why anyone would care about something without clear consequences. Our boy responds, explaining that the prophecy is widely known across the Empire. Leon laughs it off, but Mikhail reflects on the looming threat of the demon god. He recalls Cassandra's prophecy, which surfaced before the first singles began appearing. Unlike others, this prophecy spread worldwide, yet no one truly believed it. Nothing will change until something significant occurs, and people will continue to ignore it, except for our boy. He states that it doesn't matter whether Leon believes in the prophecy. What matters is that he wants Leon to join him. Leon dismisses it as nonsense, expressing no interest in entertaining such ideas. As he prepares to leave, Mikhail brings up the Moulier aura training method, which stops Leon in his tracks. Surprise flickers across Leon's face as he questions the truth of the claim. Our boy explains that even the greatest sword saints struggle to improve, but it's in moments like these that breakthroughs in swordsmanship begin. Having heard this directly from Leon, our boy trusts the information. He reminds Leon that the seasoned blade Muller, one of the pioneers of aura training, was among the top 5 swordsmen in history. Leon, skeptical, asks what this has to do with him. Mikhail reveals that if Leon agrees to his proposal, he will teach him the complete aura training method Muller left behind. Leon is taken aback, as Muller only left behind an incomplete book. As Leon trains using Muller's partial method, our boy reveals that he remembers the missing half of the aura training method. He explains that he's not asking for much in return. He doesn't care about Leon's engagement or status. He only wants Cassandra's prophecy. Our boy asks what Leon will choose. Leon, conflicted, doesn't understand why Mikhail is so determined to risk his life for the prophecy. Still, he admits he's tempted by the complete aura training method and can't let it slip away. He recalls rumors about his own foolishness, how the Lindell family even requested to break off his engagement with their princess. Leon wonders who he really is. Curiosity grows as Leon asks if our boy truly doesn't care about the engagement with the Lindell princess. Mikhail confirms that it doesn't matter to him, as she isn't important right now. He adds that the Walpker family isn't easily swayed. Leon sees the confidence in our boy, as if he doesn't care at all about what others think of him. Intrigued, Leon reflects on his first impression of him, which had been terrible, but now he's beginning to think maybe he's not so bad. Leon challenges him to prove he knows the Moulier aura training method. Without hesitation, Mikhail tells Leon to follow him, and he'll demonstrate. They head to a nearby training ground. Leon asks if they're allowed to use someone else's training area without permission. He assures him that he already secured permission. As our boy swings the sword, he finds it heavy and uses strength magic to enhance himself. Then, he tells Leon that he will demonstrate the Mueller aura training method. He explains that Mueller's method is twice as efficient as other training techniques, which contributed to Mueller's fame for his efficiency. While the principles of Mueller's method are similar to other techniques, it's the execution that sets it apart. The Mer's aura training method imprints a unique engraving on the user's body. Unlike other methods that cap at a limit of 40, Mueller's method raises the limit to 70. Mikhail asks Leon to awaken his aura so he can observe it. Leon does so, and our boy notes that while it's not very distinct, it's definitely the engraving of Mueller's aura. Curious, our boy asks if Leon has learned part of Mueller's technique. Leon confirms he has, but admits it's incomplete, and it's all he can manage for now. Mikhail is surprised that Leon found the Mer's training manual. Leon explains that he was lucky, spending a long time searching for it, and finally finding it with his father's help, only to discover it was half complete. Our boy reflects that this outcome was inevitable since it was Leon's first time with a training method. The old Leon had predicted his end and passed down the training method to Mikhail, though he hadn't expected things to turn out this way. Deciding it's time to return the technique to Leon, Mikhail tells him to watch carefully as he demonstrates a few swings using the method. Relaxing, he channels mana into the sword and begins the demonstration. Leon is surprised. It really is the Mueller aura training method. Mikhail can maintain it for 30 seconds. Leon, confused, asks if Mikhail is a mage, which he admits. Leon asks our boy to teach him, and Mikhail agrees, but Leon must come to the Walpurgis family to learn. Our boy leaves, promising to teach him when he's ready. As our boy exits, he runs into the Duke, realizing the Duke had been watching him. The Duke apologizes to him and his family. The Duke tells Mikhail that he will leave the matter of compensation up to him, surprising our boy. Despite not knowing what our boy might ask for, the Duke remains calm. Mikhail finds the Duke's composure fitting for the head of a powerful family in the Empire. Apologizing for coming alone, our boy expresses hope that the proposal of marriage between the Lindell family and Leon Parslope goes well. The Duke, impressed, remarks that he seems more cunning than himself, revealing that the engagement is already over. The Duke guesses that the outcome aligns with what Mikhail wanted. Smiling, Mikhail explains that he only offered Leon another option. He believes Leon, being meticulous, must have thought the engagement was broken off because the Walpurgis family wasn't worthy. However, the Duke says he saw Leon today and suspects Leon now thinks Mikhail is different from the rumors. This could make Leon reconsider the reasons behind the broken engagement. The Duke then asks our boy if he believes the Lindell family will ever regain the trust of the Walpurgis family. Our boy tells the Duke that the Lindell family can regain trust if they show sincerity with open actions. The Duke chuckles, finding this amusing. He then asks the Duke what he thinks about finding a suitable teacher for Isun. The Duke, surprised, asks if Mikhail is implying that their family's swordsmanship doesn't suit her. He clarifies that's not what he means, but wonders if something else might be better for her. The Duke considers this for a moment and remarks that our boy really does have a cunning mind. Mikhail brushes it off as a misunderstanding. The scene shifts to the Walpurgis mansion. Mikhail's father is pleased to hear that his son exposed the Lindell family's plan. Jokingly, our boy tells his father that he's speaking heartlessly because his eyes don't show any warmth. He responds that he has no idea what his son is talking about. Mikhail remarks that such sharp wit must run in the Walpurgis bloodline. The news arrives that Duke Lindell has sent a message, saying he will visit them personally to apologize. This likely means the Duke will request them to keep the matter private, as it could severely damage the reputation of a family built on chivalry. The Walpurgis family has gained a lot from this situation, especially since he never liked the Lindell family. He asks what the Duke of Lindell said to our boy. He replies that the Duke didn't say much, except asking if the Lindell family could ever regain the trust of the Walpurgis family. He assured him it was possible if they showed true sincerity. Mikhail's father advises him to remain cautious, warning that it's not wise to display emotions openly. Our boy then says he has a request, given how well the situation has turned out. His father urges him to speak. Mikhail requests that he be allowed to handle the remainder of this situation, arguing that since he uncovered and resolved the issue, it's only fair that he finishes it as well. After considering it, Mikhail's father observes that his son has grown more confident and capable. However, he cautions that this is a delicate matter involving two powerful families, and there's a lot at stake. Our boy acknowledges the risk, but asserts that without his actions, no one would have discovered the Lindell family's plans. While it might seem a little selfish, he feels strongly about seeing this through to the end. Though agreeing, his father reminds him to be careful. The Duke of Lindell is a cunning man, known for his reputation as a symbol of chivalry, but also for his craftiness and ability to manipulate situations. Facing the Duke directly will be necessary to finish this job. Our boy replies confidently that he understands and is ready to handle it. His father agrees, saying it's something Mikhail would have to face eventually. His son assures him that he won't let him down, shaking his head with determination. As our boy leaves, his father calls out to praise his efforts, smiling as he reflects on how much Mikhail has changed. He thinks about how the once immature boy has grown so quickly, and wonders if fate has sped things up. Standing up, he decides to prepare for the upcoming negotiations with the Duke, even though he has entrusted the matter to our boy. He knows he can't sit idly and must support the family's position. Meanwhile, the challenges ahead are clear. The family's reputation as the strongest magic family could be destroyed due to inner conflict. Power struggles among the elders have already caused significant damage. During these disputes, he was used as a pawn, which contributed to the family's decline. The butler is asked if Viscount Nostro was involved in the days leading up to the engagement being called off. The butler confirms this, explaining that Viscount Nostro is a 7th Circle mage, a key vassal of the family, and someone who has supported the family since his youth. Although competent, Nostro's critical flaw is his ambition. He doesn't want to remain a vassal, but seeks to become the center of the family. The idea that Nostro might have manipulated events is dismissed, but it becomes clear that the Viscount cannot be ignored. The butler agrees, sharing that he feels the same way. A follow-up question is asked about why the butler holds this belief. The butler reveals that he was the one who taught the third magic circle, which explains why the bond of reliance was formed. Reflecting on the past, there's a realization that the third circle, once a symbol of joy, was unstable, likely due to Nostro's influence. The butler becomes angry, suspecting that Nostro may have deliberately taught an incomplete or flawed method. Embarrassment follows for having relied on Viscount Nostro in the past. However, cutting off potential threats is the only logical course of action for the family's future. Nostro's unchecked ambition, despite being a close friend who helped the family during difficult times, has ultimately contributed to its downfall. The decision is made to ensure history does not repeat itself. A firm instruction is given for the butler to bring Viscount Nostro to the room. Doubt is expressed, with the belief that Nostro won't come just because he's called. The reassurance follows that Nostro is likely expecting a summons and will come willingly. A few moments later, Viscount Nostro arrives, smiling confidently. He assumes that our boy is about to ask for guidance on magic circles. However, Mikhail surprises him with a proposal that leaves Nostro puzzled. Our boy challenges the Viscount to a duel, but with one condition: no magic circles. The memories of the past flood Mikhail's mind. He recalls the time before the family's ruin, when Nostro's unchecked power played a significant role in the destruction. The family was on the brink of collapse, barely surviving. Mikhail's father, once the greatest mage in the family, had been bedridden for a long time, and many high-level mages had abandoned the family, leaving them defenseless. The arrival of the demon god's disciples was the final blow. The last hope was Viscount Nostro, the only 8th Circle mage left. Everyone, including our boy, watched with bated breath, hoping Nostro would use his magic to defeat the disciples. Instead, Nostro surrendered, sealing the family's fate. In that moment, Mikhail swore that if he ever had the chance, he would make Nostro pay for his betrayal. Back in the present, Nostro is shocked by our boy's challenge. Mikhail, however, expresses doubt about Nostro's worthiness to teach him. Despite Nostro's help in forming Mikhail's third magic circle, he coldly asserts that it wasn't enough. This response infuriates the Viscount. He angrily reminds him that he gave everything to teach him, but Mikhail remains unmoved. Our boy remains calm, explaining that he didn't say he didn't trust Nostro. He simply isn't sure. He presses Nostro to prove his worth, stating that for someone of his skill, defeating a mere 3-circle mage should be easy. Nostro asks how he should prove himself. Our boy proposes a bet. They will fight using magic but without relying on circles. If Mikhail loses, he will become Nostro's disciple and swear his loyalty on the Walpurgis family name. If he wins, Nostro will become his student. Intrigued, the Viscount agrees to the challenge. Later, in his room, Nostro reflects on the situation. He considers our boy foolish for proposing such a match. Fighting without circles might be a minor disadvantage, but the difference in their magic levels is immense. Nostro believes victory is inevitable. He dismisses Mikhail as a naive child, even though he hails from the prestigious Walpurgis bloodline. In Nostro's mind, this is his chance to rise in power. Defeating him will bring him closer to his ultimate goal, securing a position where not even the head of the family can challenge him. Becoming the master of both Mikhail and the Walpurgis family will be within his grasp. The scene shifts to Mikhail's room, where the butler has just heard about the match with the Viscount and is terrified at the idea of Mikhail fighting him. Mikhail tells the butler not to worry. The butler asks if his young master really agreed to let the Viscount teach him if he loses, pointing out that this would give the Viscount significant power. The young master assures him that he is aware of this. The butler, speechless, warns Mikhail that the Viscount is a wicked man and not someone he should follow as a master. Our boy reflects on the Viscount's cunning nature and asks the butler why the Viscount is still part of the family despite his actions. The butler explains that it's because the Viscount has been close to his young master father since their youth. Mikhail agrees, saying the Viscount was his father's comrade and friend. His father would never expel the Viscount because of the respect and love he still holds for him. However, our boy declares that he will personally deal with the Viscount through this match. He will ensure the Viscount can no longer act against the family. In the world of mages, a bet is a promise made through magic, and breaking it causes the person to lose the support of magic itself. This means that if our boy wins, he will gain the advantage in the fight. The butler thinks this is a good plan, but only if Mikhail can defeat the Viscount. He asks if his young master sure he can win. Our boy confidently assures him that he will win, stating that the Viscount could never defeat him. In the dimly lit room of the Lindell estate, Mikhail declares with certainty to the butler that the Viscount will not be able to defeat him. The butler, surprised, raises an eyebrow and asks how his young master is so sure. His young master's response is swift and confident, making it clear that he is certain of his victory. Mikhail reveals the condition for the upcoming duel. Viscount Nostro can only use circle magic up to the level that our boy himself can master. The butler, looking serious, frowns as he considers the implications. He questions his young master's decision to challenge a 7th circle mage like Count Nostro, while only having access to 4 circles of magic himself. Still doubtful, the butler asks Mikhail again if he is serious about the challenge. Frustrated, the butler pulls a folded document from his coat pocket, a resignation letter, showing his dissatisfaction with his young master's bold decision. Our boy makes a bold move. With a quick motion, he uses fiery magic to burn the resignation letter to ashes, sending a clear message that the butler should trust his decision. Still doubtful, the butler questions him. How could a 4th circle mage like Mikhail hope to defeat a 7th circle mage like Count Nostro? Our boy, unfazed, challenges the butler's certainty, asking if he is sure Count Nostro truly has the power of 7 circles. The butler admits he isn't certain. His young master then assures him that he wouldn't have issued the challenge without believing there was a way to win. As he explains his suspicions about Count Nostro's mastery of the 7 circles, the butler grows more frustrated and once again reaches for another resignation letter. Mikhail steps in firmly, telling the butler to reconsider and refusing to accept his resignation. Determined to keep him by his side, his young master calmly explains the details of his strategy. Advancing to higher circles of magic requires mastering the basics of the lower circles, our boy points out. However, Viscount Nostro has skipped this critical step. This shortcut has left the Viscount with an unstable grasp of 7th circle magic. Mikhail explains that while the Viscount can mimic the abilities of a 7th circle mage, it is not true mastery. It is a facade, lacking the depth needed for a real battle. In a true magical duel, spells created with deeper understanding and skill will overpower superficial ones. The young master concludes by emphasizing that an opponent with superior knowledge and control will always win. The scene shifts to his father's chamber, a place of authority in the Lindell estate. Our boy approaches his father, the head of the family, to inform him about his upcoming challenge against Viscount Nostro. It has only been a day since he pledged to take over the Lindell family business. His father reacts with anger, slamming his fist on the table and demanding an explanation. Confused and upset, he questions Mikhail's sudden change in priorities and even considers whether he might have to take drastic measures to make his son see reason. Unmoved by his father's confusion, his son locks eyes with him, expressing his seriousness without hesitation. His father, still grappling with the situation, tries to make sense of his son's sudden change in ambition. For a brief moment, our boy wonders if his father might have mistakenly believed that he intended to train under Viscount Nostro as part of the intense challenge he had undertaken. Mikhail reassures his father, firmly stating that he has no intention of losing the duel. He questions why anyone would enter a challenge expecting defeat, and confidently declares that Viscount Nostro will end up becoming his student. His father, still angry, asks where the duel will take place, intending to intervene and stop what he sees as a reckless decision. Our boy calmly assures him that no intervention is necessary. In an attempt to understand, his father questions how someone with the abilities of a 4th circle mage, like our boy, could possibly defeat a powerful 7th circle mage, such as Viscount Nostro. Mikhail's response is simple, yet confident. He would never have accepted the challenge if he didn't have full faith in his ability to succeed. The conversation then shifts to the consequences of defeat, and our boy reveals a startling outcome if he were to lose. Our boy revealed that if he lost the duel, he was prepared to become Viscount Nostro's student. This admission only served to infuriate his father even further, the tension surrounding the duel escalating. With an unwavering resolve, Mikhail made a surprising promise, offering a sacrifice that would shock anyone. If it could bring peace to their family, he would willingly offer up his legs to his father. Shocked by our boy's conviction, his father ultimately relents. As Mikhail leaves the chamber, a sense of closure washes over him. His father's reluctant approval has been secured. With everything in place, he is ready to face Viscount Nostra. Our boy reflects on the likely thoughts of Nostra, convinced that the Viscount sees himself as the inevitable victor, already planning how to use the Lindell family to his advantage. However, our boy has complete faith in his own abilities, drawing on the knowledge and skills gained from a past life that has sharpened his understanding of magic. Nostra is nothing more than the illusion of a seventh circle mage, and our boy is determined to expose the truth. The scene shifts to the Walpurgis magic practice room, a space designed to withstand spells up to the sixth circle. This room, marked by the Walpurgis family's emblem, is equipped with tools and barriers to manage the effects of powerful magic. Mikhail enters the chamber feeling a wave of nostalgia. It is a place where possibilities seem endless. To demonstrate his skill, he uses a spell called Magic Missile, a simple first circle spell. Its simplicity makes it a basic spell, but with experience and skill, even such a basic spell can be enhanced. In his demonstration, our boy modifies the spell, making the magic missile controllable rather than just a basic, targeted projectile. Our boy's enhancement of the magic missile elevates its complexity to that of a fifth circle spell, showcasing his advanced magical skill. After chanting the incantation, he releases the spell, causing a powerful and precise explosion in the room. His mastery of mana control, the ability to manipulate magical energy with precision, highlights his expertise. This skill distinguishes high circle mages from their lower circle counterparts. Briefly, Mikhail's thoughts drift to his past life. Although his body is now youthful, his mind retains the wisdom and knowledge of years past, deeply ingrained within him. With the demonstration complete, our boy has an hour left before his duel with Viscount Nostra. He decides to use this time to further study his magical repertoire, preparing himself for the critical battle. This confrontation will determine not only the future of the Lindell family, but also the fate of the Walpurgis domain. In the world of magic, there is a clear divide between those who genuinely understand the mystical arts and those whose power is merely an illusion. Our boy is determined to prove where he stands. Viscount Nostra collapses to his knees, clutching his chest in pain. The confident aura fades as he struggles to breathe, his composure slipping. Mikhail's father, a commanding and dignified presence, steps forward, inquiring about the nature of the wager between the two. The Viscount, recovering from the pain, admits that Mikhail initiated the challenge, his voice tinged with satisfaction, as though believing the duel would push our boy to reach new heights as a mage. Mikhail's father expresses his concern, reminding the Viscount of the countless times he has supported him, stressing the long-standing bond between them. This connection is what brings him here, as a witness to the duel that will determine much for their families. Viscount Nostra, his smile masking deeper thoughts, acknowledges the role Mikhail's father has played in his life, showing respect. He then nods in recognition of the favors Mikhail's father has extended. Yet, Mikhail's father, now serious, asks a pointed question that causes the Viscount to falter in confusion. He does not fully grasp the meaning behind it and looks to Mikhail's father with uncertainty. Sensing the weight of his father's words, Mikhail shifts his focus back to the duel. His resolve strengthens, bolstered by his father's support, though he is already determined to succeed on his own. As preparations continue, Mikhail's father acts decisively, casting a spell that summons massive azure chains to encircle the Viscount, sealing his magical abilities. According to the agreement, the Viscount is restricted to using no magic above the fourth circle for the duration of the duel. Despite these restraints, the Viscount remains unshaken, turning to our boy with an unreadable expression. The duel begins, and the Viscount casts slow, intending to hinder our boy's movements and gain an advantage. In response, Mikhail immediately counters with confusion, a spell that disrupts the flow of the Viscount's mana, preventing him from completing his incantation. Taken aback by the interruption, the Viscount is surprised by our boy's mastery over magic, far exceeding what would be expected from someone of his rank. Our boy's control reveals a level of understanding that the Viscount had severely underestimated. Regaining his composure, Viscount Nostra unleashes two powerful spells in quick succession, Fireball and Windbreaker, forcing them forward with force. He aims to show that the gap between magical ranks lies not just in the types of spells cast, but in the broader mastery of magical principles. Mikhail prepares for the incoming attack, swiftly casting Earthbreak to form a sturdy barrier in front of him. Despite his efforts, the combined force of Viscount Nostra's spells overwhelms the shield, shattering it in an instant. Without hesitation, our boy summons a second layer of defense with the mana barrier. A powerful shield materializes around him, absorbing the impact of the Viscount's magic effortlessly. The contrast in their magical prowess becomes glaringly clear. Our boy realizes the truth in the Viscount's earlier words about bridging the gap between physical strength and skill. While physical combat often hinges on raw power, magic offers a different kind of battlefield, one where strategy, intellect, and calculated mastery can tip the scales. With renewed confidence, Mikhail presses forward, wielding his spells with growing precision. Magic, he knows, holds the potential to accomplish feats that transcend the ordinary. He begins by casting Magic Missile, a simple first circle spell, but elevates it far beyond its basic form through multicasting. Pink mana swirls around him, enveloping him in a vibrant aura that pulses with energy. The unassuming spell now carries the intensity and complexity of magic from higher tiers. Releasing the enhanced spell, our boy directs the concentrated arcane force toward Viscount Nostra. The Viscount anticipates the attack, summoning a protective shield that absorbs the blast with a deafening clash, demonstrating his own proficiency in magic. Viscount Nostra maintains his composure, his confidence unshaken, dismissing our boy's assault as ineffectual. However, the battle takes a sudden shift. Mikhail, his focus unwavering, chants the incantation for Explode. A surge of magical energy erupts from his hands, creating a massive explosion that tears through Viscount Nostra's protective shield. The Viscount, stunned by the sheer power of the attack, is left struggling to grasp the magnitude of our boy's abilities. The explanation behind our boy's feat is clear yet profound. He has calculated the energy required for the spell and skillfully manipulated the magical parameters to amplify its strength. His strategic approach to magic pushes his capabilities far beyond the expected, underscoring his growing mastery. Frustration bubbles within Viscount Nostra, who, in his disbelief, strikes the wall in anger. Yet, despite his accusation, Mikhail stands resolute, his actions adhering strictly to the principles of the duel. He makes it known that his methods remain legitimate, unwavering in his resolve. Realization strikes Viscount Nostra as he faces Mikhail's unyielding determination. Overcome with unease, he falls to his knees, his earlier deceit now laid bare. Mikhail acknowledges the Viscount's admission, his expression softening slightly, but his focus remains unwavering. With newfound clarity, Mikhail casts another spell at Viscount Nostra. The Viscount, still recovering, summons his protective shield once again, bracing for the oncoming assault. The shield absorbs the majority of the energy, but the strain it endures is palpable. Frustration overtakes Viscount Nostra as he confronts the reality that he is being outmatched by a mage who has only just ascended. Regaining composure, Mikhail stands tall, his resolve strengthened. Determined to prove the power of a 7th Circle mage, he focuses on the task at hand, intent on demonstrating the true extent of his magical mastery. The battle is far from over, and he is ready to show that his control over magic is unparalleled. Viscount Nostra, unshaken by the previous exchange, remains steadfast. Undeterred by the previous efforts, he repeats his earlier spell, sending it hurtling toward our boy, anticipating another round of magical combat. As the spell nears, Viscount Nostra calls upon his protective shield once more. This time the shield is reinforced, a defensive move aimed at ensuring that no damage reaches him. The added layer intercepts the incoming magic and disrupts its flow, preventing the explosion that was expected to follow. The Viscount, with his magic at the ready, begins casting his own spell. Through the use of multicasting, a technique that allows multiple spells to be cast simultaneously, he begins the next phase of his attack. A fiery aura envelops him, and his eyes gleam with renewed purpose. Our boy's father watches, impressed by the complexity of the 4th Circle multicasting. For even among 7th Circle mages, performing multicasting at lower-tier spells is a rare and impressive feat, one that displays the Viscount's skill and dedication. With fierce determination, Viscount Nostra unleashes 3 potent spells at once, directing the combined energy toward Mikhail. The intensity of the spells marks the climax of his efforts, and he believes that victory is within his grasp. Both Mikhail's father and the Viscount are certain that the fight is nearing its conclusion, with the Viscount confident in his impending triumph. But something extraordinary happens. Our boy, displaying an incredible depth of magical control, counters the Viscount's barrage with ease. The combined spells dissipate in midair before they can even reach him, nullified completely. Our boy's father and the Viscount are left speechless, unable to comprehend how a newly ascended mage could so effortlessly neutralize such a powerful assault. Viscount Nostra, unwilling to concede, casts 3 more spells in rapid succession: Ice Spear, Demon Hands, and Sharpness Magic. He intends to overwhelm Mikhail with a full-on magical barrage. But in a surprising turn, Mikhail responds with a single, seemingly simple spell: Magic Missile. The force of his spell breaks through the Viscount's combined magic effortlessly, further underscoring the disparity between their abilities. Viscount Nostra is at a loss, unable to comprehend how his spells are so easily overpowered. It becomes increasingly apparent that our boy's innate talent for magic far exceeds the Viscount's years of experience. The gap between them is vast, one that cannot be bridged through hard work alone. The realization leaves the Viscount stunned, questioning the very nature of the disparity before him. Despite the overwhelming evidence of his growing strength, our boy downplays his abilities, attributing his success to coincidence. His father, however, presses him on the matter, suggesting that there might be more to it than mere luck. Mikhail, though, remains humble, offering only a simple response about his heritage, without elaborating further. Mikhail's father trusts him deeply, yet he questions his intent behind the recent battle. Curiosity rises. Was it to show off his abilities or to prove something more? The conversation turns to the role of the Viscount in our boy's life. While the Viscount is a trusted advisor and a friend, his father suggests that the Viscount may not be the best teacher for him. This prompts our boy to reflect on why he chose to showcase his skills to his father, rather than turning to the Viscount for guidance. Mikhail's response is clear. He has no intention of being taught by the Viscount. His actions, he insists, aren't driven by emotion or the desire for validation. There's no plan to remove the Viscount from his position, but Mikhail sees the situation differently. His understanding is shaped by the unique bond he shares with his father, the only person our boy considers an equal. The loneliness that comes with leadership has influenced his perspective, making him cautious about keeping potential threats close, even though he trusts his father not to cause harm. His father sees through this, realizing it's the reason for our boy's recent decisions. Mikhail accepts responsibility for managing the Viscount's role moving forward, determined to safeguard the future of the family legacy. In the Viscount's room, a sense of defeat lingers. The realization that a young mage at the 4th level has bested him shakes him to his core. The presence of the Marist further complicates the situation, ensuring that there's no escaping the outcome. The Viscount grapples with the implications of his failure, questioning the path that led him here. Just as he begins to process this, Mikhail steps into the room, a move that takes the Viscount by surprise. The unexpected arrival raises questions. Why is our boy here? Our boy reminds the Viscount of the terms they agreed upon for their battle. The consequences of the duel were clear. The reward was to form a master-student relationship, yet the Viscount finds himself puzzled. How could Mikhail have known he would win? What was the true nature of the prize, beyond the obvious humiliation? The Viscount wonders if Mikhail has something more elaborate in mind, a deeper strategy at play. Perhaps this is part of a test. Our boy, however, shifts the conversation. His focus is not on personal gain, but on securing the family's future. The Viscount, recognizing our boy's determination, understands the gravity of the situation. He acknowledges that action is necessary, particularly given the events that have transpired. The Viscount sees Mikhail's resolve and agrees that it's time to act. He offers his full support, ready to assist in whatever manner Mikhail sees fit. With a smirk, our boy takes control of the situation. He reminds the Viscount that the terms of the duel are clear. He is now the master. The Viscount, caught off guard by our boy's demand, is stunned. He hadn't expected to be commanded in such a way by his recent adversary, now turned student. Mikhail, with a serious and unwavering expression, makes it clear that his request is sincere. The Viscount, noticing Mikhail's determination, realizes that this is not a casual wager, but a serious commitment he has to face. Understanding the weight of the decision, the Viscount considers his options. He acknowledges that he needs to address the potential consequences of this bet, no matter the cost. He expresses his concerns to our boy, reminding him of his own status as a 7th Circle mage who had supported the Marquis and held a significant position. He feels that becoming our boy's student is not suitable for someone of his stature. Mikhail urges the Viscount to set aside those thoughts and not trivialize the importance of a mage's promise. Mikhail emphasizes that a mage's promise is a binding commitment with high stakes. Breaking such a promise could lead to the loss of magical circles and abilities. The Viscount, growing frustrated, points out that he has more magical circles and is older than our boy. He questions the idea of someone with his experience becoming a student. Our boy firmly states that the transformation is already happening and that the Viscount's new role as a student is non-negotiable. They then go to the arena, where the Viscount publicly acknowledges Mikhail as his master. The Viscount understands that in his new role as a student, he needs to show commitment and follow the agreement. However, deep inside he is conflicted. He knows that failing in this role could result in the loss of his magical circles. Mikhail, now the Viscount's teacher, takes on the responsibility of imparting knowledge. He doesn't feel satisfied just defeating the Viscount immediately. He remembers his own experiences before he had transcended and knows there is more to achieve. Viscount, however, initially resists the idea of learning from our boy. He notices the instability in the Viscount's magical circles, which affects his ability to use magic properly. Our boy believes that with some pressure, the Viscount's emotional pain will reveal the instability in his circles. He causes the Viscount to experience physical pain, which leaves him writhing on the ground. Our boy realizes that to truly understand magic and develop one's circles, a proper link to the circles is needed. He explains that it is possible to create circles without transcending, a state called an apostle. With the Viscount's circles broken, Mikhail offers to teach him how to calm and restore them. The Viscount is surprised to learn that our boy knows about his circles. Viscount wonders if the Marquis has shared this information with our boy and begins to suspect that the entire battle has been planned by the Marquis. Mikhail dismisses these thoughts and tells the Viscount to stop making baseless claims. He explains that the unusual signs in the Viscount's magic during the battle showed something was wrong. Additionally, the Viscount's physical symptoms, like clutching his heart, are typical of mages with unstable circles. Mikhail makes a grim prediction, stating that the Viscount will not survive in his current state. He explains that the only way to save the Viscount is to remove the ring mana causing the instability. Our boy offers to absorb the ring mana from the Viscount, which would cause the Viscount to lose 5 circles, but ultimately benefit both of them. The Viscount is shocked at the idea of losing his hard-earned circles, which he has worked tirelessly to achieve. Our boy argues that the Viscount's circles are causing more harm than good. Before his transcendence, the Viscount had been deteriorating, and his circles had led him down a dark path. Mikhail emphasizes that the Viscount's circles serve no practical purpose and are just for show. The Viscount had stacked his circles to impress the Marquis Walpurgis, a futile effort that has no real value. Even Marquis Lindell is aware of the Viscount's situation, but has chosen to ignore it. Realizing the uselessness of his previous actions, the Viscount accepts our boy's offer. He agrees to let our boy absorb his mana and remove the problematic ring mana. After absorbing the Viscount's mana, Mikhail reaches the 5th circle in his magical abilities. For Mikhail, reaching the 5th circle feels easy, but the Viscount feels discouraged after losing his circles. For our boy, absorbing the Viscount's mana is an urgent task and only the beginning of their efforts. Our boy knows that the challenges ahead are difficult. He thinks about the prophecy from Cassandra, which predicted the resurrection of the demon god in 7 years. Ignoring the prophecy would have serious consequences, leaving the world unprepared to face the demon god's power. Even in its incomplete form, the demon god is overwhelming, and no force can resist it. The Empire realizes this too late when the 7th-ranked knight, Steel Keelan, is defeated by the demon god. A great disaster is approaching. Efforts to gather heroes and allies have failed, and half of the Empire is destroyed, leaving no time for a coordinated response. In a last-ditch effort to fight back, the temple summons warriors to form a subjugation squad called Argo. Mu is part of this squad. During this time, Cassandra, the Oracle, becomes the most important person. Despite her young age, she has foreseen the disaster and shared her prophecies, often at great personal cost. Cassandra's prophecies are true, but no one has listened to her warnings, even as she suffers physically. During Mikhail's early days, Cassandra's prophecies were disregarded because no one believed her. Mikhail thinks about the uselessness of ignored prophecies. He also wonders about Cassandra's fate, assuming she has met an unfortunate end unless she has undergone transcendence, though he finds that unlikely. Our boy then focuses on his own plans. He decides to join the warrior selection but faces a problem: how to find Cassandra, who has left the temple after her prophecies were dismissed. He needs to contact her but doesn't know how. At that moment, our boy's butler enters, announcing a guest with business. The guest is Leon Parslope, an important figure. Mikhail meets with Leon, who asks about the training method Mikhail had mentioned earlier. Our boy is surprised by Leon's early arrival, assuming Leon is busy with his own engagement. However, Leon clarifies that the training method is more important to him than the engagement. He reveals that he has never been enthusiastic about the engagement and urges our boy to expedite the training process. Mikhail introduces an unexpected condition to their agreement, much to Leon's annoyance. Leon questions the new stipulation, expressing his displeasure. Despite this, Mikhail assures him that the condition won't be harmful. Leon insists on knowing the condition, and our boy explains that it is related to a dungeon. Leon claims to know nothing about it, but our boy's sharp perception leads him to believe Leon is lying. He can see the uncertainty in Leon's eyes and accuses him of being a poor liar. Mikhail presses him further, revealing that Leon's father, Count Parslope, discovered the dungeon a year ago. Mana had been found in the dungeon, and Count Parslope declared it a mana stone mine. However, most of the investigation teams sent into the dungeon had gone missing. The financial strain from these expeditions was the reason behind the engagement with the Lindell princess. Leon is shocked that our boy knows about the situation, suspecting a spy within their family. Our boy clarifies that he learned the information from rumors among warriors, making it an educated guess, not espionage. Curious about the dungeon, Mikhail expresses interest in learning more. Leon asks Mikhail what is really happening, as most of their investigation teams haven't returned. They have named the place a dungeon, but it might as well have been a nightmare. A raid couldn't simply be launched into it. Mikhail thinks that the Parslope family has clung to the dungeon until the end, but now someone else has uncovered its secrets and claimed all the rewards. Our boy offers to help Leon by taking on the dungeon himself, replacing the investigation team. Leon is puzzled and wonders if our boy believes he can succeed where experienced mercenaries have failed. Mikhail, however, is confident and assures Leon that dungeon exploration is a basic task for mages. This irritates Leon, who wonders why Mikhail is so sure of himself. Our boy reassures Leon that his actions won't harm his family and might even benefit them by uncovering the dungeon's secrets, even if he fails. Grateful for our boy's offer, Leon considers the training ahead. Mikhail promises to teach him after they deal with the dungeon, and Leon agrees, though he mentions the final decision rests with his father. Later, Mikhail approaches his father to discuss the situation. His father is surprised by the news and reminds our boy of his commitment to look after the Lindell family, expressing confusion over the sudden change of plans. Our boy tries to explain that this new venture is connected to his previous promise. He mentions hearing that the Pars Slope family has become the new engagement partner for the Lindell family. His father wonders if Mikhail is planning to cause trouble there, but Mikhail reassures him that he has no such intentions. He also emphasizes the importance of a mage's word and his promise to Leon Pars Slope. A lighthearted argument about whether a particular object is a bat or a staff briefly interrupts the conversation. Our boy tries to steer the discussion away from the argument and hints at another reason for his decision, but refuses to share the details. His father grows more agitated and asks if he can trust our boy. Mikhail grins and confirms that his father has always been able to trust him. As Mikhail reflects, he is troubled by his father's trust in him, considering his past regrets and attempts to escape his role. Since his father's passing, these thoughts remind him of why he gave up on pursuing a career as a warrior. His father wants to know if our boy is confident enough to handle the matters concerning the Lindell family. Our boy acknowledges the connection, but doesn't reveal any more details about his plans. His father eventually relents and tells him to do as he sees fit. Suddenly, Mikhail senses an external presence and asks his father if he has a guest. His father, however, can't see anything unusual. Mikhail, feeling a bit embarrassed, attributes it to his mistake and leaves the room. Unbeknownst to him, the anonymous presence in the room is the butler, who then speaks with our boy's father. The butler notes the significant changes in our boy's character, pointing out how he has become bolder and his magic has grown exceptionally strong, without any involvement in witchcraft. He emphasizes that this is undoubtedly Mikhail's own talent, though he might have realized it later than others. The butler explains that this development isn't uncommon for those with the blood of the W Purges, given their history and connection to the W Purges family spirit. Mikhail's father decides that the butler should accompany our boy to the Pars Slope territory, as agreed in their contract. Later, as our boy and Leon prepare to depart, the butler, despite his own health issues, joins them. He explains that this is at the request of Mikhail's father, who is concerned about the potential trouble Mikhail might encounter. Our boy wonders about the butler's true intentions and whether there is more to him than appears. The butler joins them and they begin their journey to the Pars Slope territory. When their carriage arrives, Leon notices the heaviness in our boy's demeanor and, curious, asks about it. Mikhail, known for his understatement, responds by expressing surprise at the resilience of the Pars Slope family and their strong attachment to the harsh land. His thoughts shift to his father, who would have admired their tenacity. Mikhail sees that the allure of the place goes beyond appearances, touching the collective spirit of its citizens. Our boy reconsiders his initial impressions of the land and realizes its indomitable spirit, one that commands respect. His view shifts further as he sees the Helen Forest Road, a remarkable structure of minerals stretching like a ribbon of gemstones. This road isn't just a luxury, it's vital to the Pars Slope family's ingenuity and survival, an essential part of the land's character. He shares his thoughts with Leon, explaining that external appearances are meaningless in the grand scheme. True value, he believes, lies in the satisfaction and contentment of the people living on the land. Our boy encourages Leon to take pride in his role as a landowner and to honor his father's legacy, which deserves respect and admiration. Their journey, now filled with newfound insights, eventually leads them to a long-awaited reunion. Leon finally meets his father, Count Pars Slope, who immediately asks about his traveling companion. Leon hesitates but reveals that Mikhail Walpurgis has accompanied him. The mention of Mikhail triggers a chain of events. The Count, visibly troubled, retrieves a vial of medicine, showing clear concern. Leon notices his father's reaction and urges him to calm down, trying to ease the tension in the room. As the Count's emotions settle, he gestures for Leon to explain more. Leon recounts their visit to the Pars Slope territory, revealing that our boy has come seeking an audience to deliver important revelations. The Count listens intently, intrigued by the news. But just as things seem to calm down, Leon adds a new detail, his voice filled with concern. The mention of the dungeon quickly spreads through the room, breaking the calm atmosphere. Unexpectedly, the Count bursts into laughter, as if some weight had been lifted from his shoulders. In that moment, he signs a document, announcing that he is stepping down from his position. Leon, stunned by this sudden decision, protests, his emotions in turmoil. However, his father remains firm, urging Leon to understand the gravity of the situation. The rise of the Walpurgis family now poses a significant threat to the Pars Slope family, putting the secrets of the dungeon at risk. Leon, both concerned and confused, tries to reassure his father, promising that the dungeon's secrets will remain protected. The solution, he explains, lies in an offer from our boy Walpurgis, a chance to preserve the sanctity of their sacred place. The Count listens intently, his curiosity piqued. The Count, eager to know more, asks about the offer. Leon calmly explains that it involves the complete molar training method, a revelation that shocks the Count. The importance of this revelation becomes clear as Leon goes on to explain that Mikhail knows the complete molar training, which has led them to this point. The Count's interest deepens at the mention of this rare and valuable skill. Leon further elaborates that the promise made between Mikhail and himself involves transferring the knowledge of the molar training. The Count, understanding the importance of mage promises, begins to grasp the significance of the situation for the dungeon and the Parslope family. The true weight of the dungeon's heart is revealed to our boy Walpurgis, who is willing to trade the sacred molar training method for it. This stirs a burning question in the Count's mind. What secrets are hidden deep within the dungeon's depths? The desire to uncover those secrets grows stronger with each passing moment. With a determined resolve, Count Parslope decides to speak directly with our boy, prepared to confront the truth behind the offer. Meanwhile, the butler, ever composed and loyal, struggles with his growing concerns. He expresses his anxiety to Mikhail, focusing on the sanctity of the dungeon, which holds immense historical and traditional importance. Doubts arise as he wonders whether Mikhail truly understands the significance of the dungeon, and if he too has the right to claim ownership of it. Our boy remains calm and composed, his expression neutral. He points out a key aspect the butler has overlooked. As a keeper of knowledge, our boy is well aware of the Parslope family's reliance on the molar training method. This knowledge makes the trade's significance clearer. The dungeon is not merely a treasure trove but a source of frustration, having been plagued by past failures and attacks, thus changing the nature of the negotiations. Confident in his position, Mikhail believes the deal will work. He reassures the butler, explaining that once he speaks with Count Parslope, everything will become clear. Despite this, doubt still lingers in the butler's mind. He fears that even with Mikhail's status, Count Parslope will never allow access to the dungeon. Our boy's confidence remains unshaken. He assures the butler that Count Parslope will be persuaded in a moment. The butler, both amazed and skeptical, falls silent when the Count enters the room. Count Parslope's presence is commanding, and he carries the weight of responsibility. Our boy smiles knowingly, sensing that the situation is about to take a turn. The Count sits down, his gaze fixed on Mikhail. Having been informed by Leon about Mikhail's interest in the dungeon, the Count meets his gaze with curiosity. Our boy explains that a mage's thirst for the unknown makes the dungeon the perfect place to explore. The Count leans in, eager to hear more. Realization dawns on the Count that our boy holds the key to a deeper truth, one tied to the value of the molar training method. He wonders if Leon's passion for the training will match his own. Beneath Mikhail's calm exterior, the Count senses a growing understanding. The molar training method is only part of a larger picture, and the conversation will not be as straightforward as it first seemed. Thinking strategically, Mikhail shifts the conversation. He asks whether the Parslope family possesses the power to access the dungeon on their own, or if outside help will be needed. The Count, never one to boast, admits honestly that the family lacks the resources to raid the dungeon. Our boy hints at a more radical idea, suggesting an unexpected turn in the negotiations. An alliance, Mikhail proposes, sparking the Count's curiosity. Leaning forward, the Count asks if he intends to work with him, not as a member of the Walpurgis family, but as an individual. Mikhail confirms with a nod, explaining that they won't need a full team, just a select few. The Count asks how long our boy will need access to the dungeon. With a confident expression, Mikhail proposes just 1 day. Surprised by the short time frame, the Count asks what will happen if Mikhail fails. His response is simple. If he fails, the Count will receive the Muller training method. If he succeeds, he will claim half of the dungeon's treasure. United by their shared goal, the trio stands at the dungeon's entrance, ready to begin. The weight of their mission presses down on them as the unknown looms ahead. Leon, shocked, questions our boy's plan, wondering if it is really just the three of them who will enter the dungeon. The magnitude of the task unsettles him, but Mikhail's response is unwavering. Only those without doubt can proceed. As Leon prepares to step forward, our boy halts him, pointing out a hidden danger. A trap, he warns, lies ahead, and rushing in unprepared will lead to disaster. Leon, curious, asks about the trap and why they can't simply enter. Our boy explains that this dungeon is unlike any other. It is a living entity. The dungeon reveals its secrets as Mikhail illuminates the darkness. Unlike anything they've encountered before, it functions as a living organism, drawing energy to sustain itself. Entering unprepared would be like offering oneself as food, a fate met by past mercenaries. But Mikhail is ready. With the knowledge to handle the dungeon, he explains that by feeding it mana and using his special spell, they can break through its defenses. As he chants, strange sounds rise from within the dungeon, a mix of whispers and echoes from the past. Our boy urges the group to prepare as the entrance opens, revealing both treasures and dangers. A brilliant flash of light illuminates the dungeon's mouth, and Mikhail, familiar with the extraordinary, recognizes the significance of the moment. This is the first grave of the Asir, and the dungeon holds a relic of divine origin. Mikhail has encountered the relic before, alongside legendary comrades. Its mystery deepens with a prophecy from a saintly figure they met. She described the relic as a storm, growing stronger based on its possessor's talent. The first keeper of the relic, Siegfried, the infamous warrior, wasted its potential within a week. The relic was then placed in the Aesir's grave, marking the beginning of a long story. Determined not to repeat the past's mistakes, Mikhail aims to claim the relic, unlock its potential, and protect it. The trio moves deeper into the dungeon. Time freezes, the moment when the dungeon was first created. What they are witnessing is the result of a god-level skill. Our boy confirms the importance of their discovery, noting that crafting such a dungeon is no small feat. A shift in the air alerts our boy to something ahead. He quickly warns Leon as an army of goblins appears, ready for battle. Leon, sensing the urgency, suggests retreating and forming a plan. Mikhail, remaining calm, explains that victory isn't just about numbers. A direct attack, he says, will lead to unnecessary bloodshed. This, he reassures, is just the first gate of the dungeon. This is not a dungeon but a grave, and the grave was meant to be cleared by one man. With practiced instinct, Mikhail withdraws a dagger and begins etching intricate marks on the dungeon's walls. Leon, curious about his actions, watches as crystal residue falls to the ground and asks what he is doing. Our boy explains simply that he is scraping off the crystalline layers covering the etched letters. Leon, still puzzled, asks why. Our boy, holding the crystal remnants, reveals a key insight about goblins. They are drawn to these crystal shards, hoarding them with a greedy instinct. Continuing, Mikhail explains that the crystals are valuable not just for their physical form, but because of their hallucinogenic properties. By hiding the shards under a layer of magic and dispersing them, they can use this to their advantage. Using the crystal fragments, Mikhail sparks an explosion of greed among the goblins. Driven by their desire for the shards, the goblins turn on each other in violent chaos. He tosses the shards into the air, letting them spread toward the approaching horde. As the shards glisten, they create a burst of light, and when it fades, the goblins are in disarray, fighting each other in a chaotic scramble. With the first gate cleared, our boy notices something in the chaos, a magical artifact pulsing with power. His curiosity piqued, he bends down to retrieve the item. The goblins had unknowingly guarded a valuable treasure. Our boy examines the object in his hand and realizes it is a subspace pouch of the highest grade, a rare and powerful artifact. This discovery triggers memories from his previous life when he raided this dungeon but missed this important item. Frustration grows as he remembers the stupid warrior had killed the goblin and destroyed the pouch. Shouting in frustration, Mikhail vents his anger. Leon, noticing his strange behavior, turns to the butler for an explanation. The butler, used to Mikhail's eccentricities, reassures Leon that there is no need to worry. Examining the subspace pouch, our boy realizes it is the same one he lost in his previous life. As his frustration fades, he recognizes that finding it in the dungeon is significant. It could be a game changer for their journey. He asks Leon to hand over the pouch, and as he studies it closely, he discovers an inscription on the back. The words read, "Lay down the greatest greed." Driven by curiosity, the trio tries to understand the meaning of the message. The butler, experienced in deduction, suggests it might be a clue for the next stage of their journey. Attuned to the intricacies of the living dungeon, our boy concludes that the message, "greatest greed," must be connected to something deep within the dungeon's depths. His thoughts turn to the Goblin King, a powerful figure among the goblins. He believes the Goblin Chief, as the embodiment of greed, holds the key to the puzzle. Mikhail suggests they must obtain a Goblin Chief stone and place it inside the infinite subspace pouch. Leon, eager to contribute, volunteers to handle the task. However, doubt flickers in Mikhail's eyes as he quickly refuses. Frustrated by the rejection, Leon questions why a mage would be better suited for the job. In that moment, an idea strikes him, turning the task into a test of skill. Leon proposes a wager. Both he and our boy will try to obtain a Goblin King stone, and the one who retrieves the better stone will win the infinite subspace pouch. Our boy accepts the challenge, and they both set off on their attempts. Leon unsheathes his sword with precision and successfully secures the Goblin King stone, his skill evident in the clean retrieval. Not far behind, Mikhail expertly retrieves his stone, which pulses with the lingering mana of the Goblin King. Leon, though impressed, realizes he has been outperformed. Mikhail places the stone into the infinite subspace pouch, and a key materializes before them. A massive door opens, revealing the next step in their journey. For our boy, this is a significant moment. He recognizes that he has never gone beyond the fourth gate in his previous life. A smile forms on his face, suggesting he has found a valuable shortcut. The trio moves through an ornate door and steps into a dimly lit chamber where their footsteps echo in the stillness. Leon, the youngest member of the group, grows curious about our boy. He turns to the trusted butler and asks why he doesn't seem to fit the typical mold of someone his age. The butler explains that Mikhail is the subject of many whispers and rumors, which turn out to be true. However, these rumors are more complex than they seem. Our boy is not the perfect example of skill, charisma, and insight that one might expect. He shares this fact only because he has chosen to reveal it. Leon finds this odd, as most people tend to hide the less flattering parts of their past. But our boy has chosen to accept and integrate them. Standing before the fourth gate, our boy speaks about feeling as though they have skipped over certain events to reach this point. The gate is important, yet it holds a mystery for him, as he has never reached it in his previous life. The gate is different from any other challenge Mikhail has faced. Ancient hieroglyphs cover its surface, and he begins to decipher the message. The inscription is cryptic, urging them to enter without overthinking. Deciding to move forward without overthinking, Mikhail begins to approach. Leon, cautious, suggests they proceed carefully. He understands the importance of being cautious when facing the unknown. Mikhail agrees, acknowledging they don't have enough information to make a fully informed decision. To prepare, Mikhail casts a protective spell on Leon and the butler, ensuring they are shielded from potential harm. With these precautions in place, our boy opens the door. Inside, the room is completely dark. Even his light magic can't fully dispel the darkness, and the room's size and boundaries are hidden in the blackness. Unease grips Mikhail, his primary concern being Leon's safety. Determined to resolve the situation for his young friend, he moves forward, spotting a figure ahead, armored and with its head lowered. The illusion becomes clear. It's not the real Leon. Our boy assesses it, impressed by its quality, yet he directly asks where the real Leon is. The illusion of Leon attempts to engage, asking why our boy is in such a hurry and suggesting they sit down to reminisce. Focused on the mission, Mikhail declines, sensing the illusion's attempt to distract him. The illusion escalates, attempting to manipulate him with a vivid memory that paints him as a coward who had abandoned others in the past. Mikhail stands firm, lowering his rating of the illusion. With calm precision, he summons his magic, dispelling the illusion of Leon, which crumbles into ashes. The oppressive power vanishes, leaving the room in an eerie silence. The butler breaks the silence, noticing strange crystals scattered around. His young master identifies them as mana crystals, explaining their value. The butler, his gaze shifting, notices Leon's distress. Confusion and despair cloud Leon's features. Our boy moves swiftly to his side, and the butler, concerned, asks what their next move will be. Mikhail's response is simple. He will snap Leon out of it. Trapped in his own memories, Leon is overwhelmed by the expectations placed on him by his father and the loyal servants. These illusions cloud his mind, making him forget their mission. Dark magic dims his once bright eyes. In Leon's mind, a plan begins to form. If Mikhail were to fall here, Leon's family would take control of the dungeon. But his main goal is to restore his family's honor, even if it means sacrificing his comrades. With his sword drawn, Leon prepares to confront our boy. A magic missile is fired, striking Leon with several arrows. Shocked by the attack, Leon realizes he's no match for our boy, especially since Mikhail knows everything about Leon's mana training. Leon believed death was inevitable as despair consumed him. But then something shifted. His eyes, once clouded by darkness, slowly returned to their normal color. A sense of clarity washed over him, signaling that something had changed. Our boy exhaled, feeling a sense of relief, and recognized that it was time to move on. Though still uneasy, Leon knows our boy is strong, and they must continue. As they descend deeper into the dungeon, the environment becomes more oppressive. The forest they pass through shifts into thick fog, disorienting them. Our boy, relying on his sharp instincts, realizes the fog isn't natural but intentionally created within the dungeon. The fog is now so dense that he can't see Leon or the butler. Confidently, Mikhail moves forward, relying on his instincts. As he ventures deeper into the dungeon, he eventually reaches the end of their journey and encounters a green-haired girl seated at a table, her expression enigmatic and smile cryptic. The girl greets him with an understated yet profound presence, offering no further explanation for her being there. Mikhail, unfazed, proceeds to inquire about her role within the dungeon, seeking to understand her purpose and authority in the situation. With a gentle smile, the girl's emerald eyes shimmer with an unsettling knowledge, revealing her awareness of the situation. She doesn't seem surprised by his approach, and Mikhail, sensing an opportunity, responds with a calm confidence that borders on audacity. His words reflect his belief that he's encountered similar situations before, and he's not fazed by what lies ahead. She dismisses the question with a wave of her hand, her smile shifting slightly, as though the nature of her authority is irrelevant. Before she can explain further, Mikhail interrupts, identifying her as Set, the guardian of storm, and linking her to the first shard of the god Asura. His declaration is met with surprise, and the girl reacts, her eyes wide in astonishment at his knowledge. Mikhail, unwavering, maintains that his actions and achievements have already proven his worth. He expects to receive the reward that is rightfully his. The girl, still puzzled by his certainty, asks how he came by this knowledge, but he responds cryptically, implying that this is not his first encounter with such a situation. Accepting his words, the girl's demeanor shifts, and she acknowledges that she has a duty to give the holy item to the one who is qualified. With a wave of her hand, a magic circle materializes before her, casting a brilliant green light. From it, a necklace forms, glowing with a vibrant aura. She explains that the item is a holy artifact, imbued with her powers, capable of transforming into a shield or a spear as needed for protection. She has never named it, but refers to it as Set Storm. As he takes the necklace, our boy feels an immediate sense of curiosity and anticipation. Holding the item in his hands, he senses something distinct about it, something different from what he had encountered in a previous life. The spirit notices his hesitation and reassures him of the necklace's authenticity. She assures him that she would never offer a counterfeit item to someone who has passed the fourth gate. Slowly, his confusion clears, and he realizes that if this item is indeed genuine, then the one he obtained in his previous life must have been a deceptive version, one that cost countless lives for a mere imitation. Finally, our boy, seeking clarity, asks if there is a way to acquire such a holy item if they were still at the third gate. The spirit responds firmly, explaining that there is no way to obtain the holy item at the third gate. It is a puzzle that requires thought, and without passing the third gate, one isn't worthy of the item. A nod follows as the necklace is placed around his neck. The pendant glows brightly and then shatters, enveloping him in a green aura. The spirit elaborates that the pendant is a complex barrier, designed to protect both body and soul. It can shield against an attack once a day, with its effectiveness increasing as strength grows. Though somewhat disappointed by its limits, appreciation for the protection provided remains. As the spirit's form begins to fade, a realization sets in. The time freeze spell is wearing off. He glances at the girl and, with curiosity, inquires if she would stay if she had the choice. The spirit, now almost translucent, gives a wistful smile. She explains that repairing the ancient magic barrier requires knowledge greater than that of a ninth circle mage, which is practically impossible. Still, there is a desire to see how the outside world has changed. Understanding the significance of her words, action is taken. Moving toward a wall marked with green lines and circles, a spherical object sits before it. Recognizing its role in the dungeon's operation, a decision is made to help the spirit. By manipulating the sphere, an enhanced time freeze spell is cast. A brilliant green light radiates from her form, and monocrystals begin to form, establishing a connection to the dungeon's inner workings. As the process continues, her ethereal essence begins to fade, her form shrinking. Something remarkable has been accomplished. The spirit, now smaller and bewildered by the change, becomes frustrated as she notices her diminished state. Recoil follows, her offense taken at the comment about finding her cute. She reminds him that she is one of the great apostles who served an old god. A quick apology is offered, explaining that her reduced size was necessary to prolong the time freeze spell. The outcome, he assures her, is favorable. Still struggling to understand what happened, the spirit questions his identity, amazed by his ability to perform a time freeze spell. With confidence, he claims that he isn't a ninth circle mage, but a genius with overwhelming talent. Her skepticism remains, and his answer only deepens the mystery surrounding him. As they travel in carriages, a large collection of monocrystals is carried by Mel and his companions. The soldier accompanying them stares at the radiant gems, marveling at their immense value and extraordinary quantity. The immense value of the monocrystals proves to be a game-changer for Count Parslope's coffers. He is impressed by Mel's accomplishment, admitting that he hadn't expected such a quick return without much trouble. With a confident reply, Mel explains that he never proposes anything he can't accomplish. Count Parslope jolts with realization. Mikhail, from the renowned Walpurgis family, has proven his skills time and again. The Walpurgis family's reputation for excellence momentarily slips his mind. As Mikhail reminds him of their agreement, the Count feels a tinge of regret, wishing he had negotiated for a better deal. However, it becomes clear that the Count's concession is likely an act. The pressure to conquer the dungeon has been mounting, and the Count has invested significant resources without any returns. Despite this, a powerful ally now stands with him, and the relief of their success overshadows his concerns. The Count reminds our boy of the promise to provide the Mulier training method, stressing its importance for learning at an early age. Always ready to fulfill his commitments, our boy suggests they begin the training that day. 4 days later, outside the mansion, soldiers whisper excitedly about the arrival of a new knight, a mysterious figure who has come specifically to train Leon. Rumors spread that this is no ordinary knight, but a mage of great skill. The scene shifts to the training grounds within Parslope's palace, where Leon trains hard under Mikhail's watchful eye. As Leon spars with intensity, Spirit Set asks Mikhail about his unconventional training methods. Curious about why he trains Leon this way, our boy responds thoughtfully, suggesting he might be too lenient. Spirit Set, surprised by his statement, jokes about the meaning of the word gentle, though her comment shows an appreciation for our boy's unorthodox approach. Mikhail explains that by incorporating the natural flow of mana, the training can be more effective. The focus is on making Leon more aware of mana. Mikhail believes knights do not need precise mana control, and this method is fitting for Leon's training. During the exercises, Leon struggles and cries out in pain, but Mikhail responds with congratulations instead of sympathy. Leon, confused about the nature of the training, receives an explanation from Mikhail that he learned this method from a highly qualified individual. Expecting the training to wear our boy down, Leon is unaware that our boy has a different goal in mind. Mikhail grows irritated with Leon's assumption and tells him to focus on channeling mana as instructed. As Leon complies, he feels his body relax and adjusts to the technique. Mikhail explains that the technique Leon used to deflect spells is a crucial part of the training. The next step is for Leon to master this method. As his confidence grows, his sword begins to glow with a blue aura. Recognizing that Leon is making rapid progress and nearing the final stage of the Muller's training method, our boy understands the importance of patience. After the training session, our boy retreats to a secluded area, ensuring there are no onlookers. Spirit Set, sensing something personal, questions why he needs solitude, but our boy assures her she can stay, explaining that he has his reasons. Our boy decides to test the full capabilities of the Storm Pendant. Activating it, a large green aura surrounds him. Spirit Set, curious, wonders if the goal is to test its defensive abilities or explore other functions. Mikhail explains that he wants to understand all the pendant's uses since it's a holy item infused with her power. Spirit Set, cautious but intrigued, asks if she can help explore its functions. Surprisingly, our boy asserts that she is about to do something she doesn't fully understand. This statement angers Spirit Set, but Mikhail continues with his experiment. He manipulates the pendant's powers, causing the green aura to intensify until it forms a massive sphere of energy. Spirit Set warns him to stop, concerned for his safety as the surge of energy could overwhelm him. However, our boy maintains precise control over the mana and the Storm Pendant, proving her concerns unnecessary. Having studied the pendant thoroughly, Mikhail understands how it works with the free circulation method. This method involves circulating mana in multiple directions, a task that once posed challenges. After struggling with it before, our boy is now ready to test his theory. Channeling a 6th circle spell, flames erupt into a blazing inferno. He quickly follows with a 7th circle spell, manipulating gravity. Rocks lift into the air, defying gravity. Spirit Set, amazed, watches as Mikhail unlocks the full potential of the Storm Pendant. A week has passed since our boy began mentoring Leon in the Muller's training method, guiding him through the complex and powerful techniques. The Muller's approach to swordsmanship is known for its complexity, requiring precision and discipline. Leon, dedicated to mastering it, sees tangible progress as he continues his training. Mikhail, watching Leon's development, is pleased with his rapid improvement. As Leon gains confidence in his abilities, a growing sense of accomplishment fills him. He realizes that, under our boy's guidance, he has perfected the technique. Mikhail, observing Leon's potential, imagines a future where Leon could rise to the rank of swordmaster in just a few years, becoming a powerful figure in swordsmanship. Curious, Leon asks our boy about his plans for the temple. He speculates that Mikhail is teaching him the Muller method to prepare him for a role in the temple's hero recruitment. Our boy responds carefully, momentarily forgetting the importance of the temple due to recent events, especially the acquisition of the first holy item. Mikhail refocuses on their mission, as Leon's question brings him back on track. Our boy acknowledges the need to find Cassandra before heading to the temple. Just as the conversation continues, a soldier arrives with urgent news about an unexpected visitor. Leon asks who the guest is, as no one had expected. Mikhail quickly deduces that the visitor is Eileen, a member of a well-known family. His deduction proves correct when they move from the training grounds to the living room, where Eileen awaits them. Concern shadows Eileen's face. Though the Parcelope family has lost much of its influence over time, she clings to her aspirations of becoming a knight. Her past, especially her entanglements with the Walpurgis family, complicates this ambition. Her father recently assured her that the Walpurgis family, led by the Marquis, would no longer meddle in her life. With her father's full support, Eileen is now free to make her own choices. Yet, the shame brought upon the Lindell family by her past mistakes weighs heavily on her. Determined to restore her family's honor and regain her father's trust, she resolves to challenge Leon Parcelope, the sword saint of the new era, to a duel. Victory, she believes, will prove her worth as a knight. Reflection on her plan is interrupted when our boy enters the room with his usual calm demeanor. Greeting her casually, he catches Eileen off guard. She questions his presence, and with a subtle smile, he reminds her that he is an invited guest, while her visit is the unexpected one. Assurances follow. He addresses any lingering concerns about their family's prior engagement, explaining that it ended amicably. Public announcements from both sides made it clear there was no doubt about his qualifications. The rumors that once questioned his abilities have long since been put to rest. Doubt lingers in Mikhail's mind about how Eileen views the events surrounding their families. When she inquires about Leon, he informs her that Leon is preoccupied with personal grooming and offers to keep her company in the meantime. Her purpose for visiting emerges. Eileen seeks to learn swordsmanship from another family, a bold request she acknowledges openly. Observing her keen skill with a blade, our boy recognizes her potential as a valuable ally in the fight against the demon god. Practicality shapes his thoughts. Eileen's strength, he realizes, could be an asset to their mission. His expression grows thoughtful, almost enigmatic, leaving her uneasy. The hint of an opportunity in his words confuses yet intrigues her. He notes that her desire to train with another family reflects a deeper drive for self-improvement and power. Support is offered to smooth over any tension with Leon, as Mikhail warns that Leon, known for his disciplined nature, may not appreciate an unannounced visitor. This gesture leaves Eileen momentarily speechless, unsure of how to respond. Training in the courtyard continues for Leon until our boy arrives, unexpectedly accompanied by Eileen. Surprise flashes across Leon's face as he senses something amiss. The concern, however, is brushed aside as Mikhail reassures him of his genuine intentions. Curiosity gets the better of Eileen. Leaning forward, she asks if her presence creates any issue, her voice steady but edged with uncertainty. The unexpected sight of Eileen leaves Leon momentarily speechless. Her unannounced arrival disrupts his routine, casting a sense of curiosity over the interaction. During the training session that follows, Eileen struggles against the relentless magic missiles conjured by our boy. Each attack tests her limits, while Leon showcases impressive resilience, enduring the onslaught with ease. A lapse in concentration causes Eileen to falter. Distracted by Leon's composed performance, she stumbles and falls, frustration evident in her expression. Turning to Mikhail, she questions the stark contrast in their abilities. His response is measured, pointing out that her struggles stem not from the difficulty, but from the openings in her defenses that invite failure. He encourages her to learn from these gaps and improve. The lesson, though acknowledged, doesn't lift her spirits. Doubts creep in as she perceives Leon's lack of interest in her progress, leaving her disheartened. Yet our boy sees promise in her efforts, quietly noting that her development aligns with his expectations. Confidence in her potential underpins his reassurances as the session winds down. He informs Eileen of his intention to speak with her privately, his tone leaving no room for argument. Confusion flashes across her face as she questions the true purpose of the rigorous training. A calm smile plays on his lips as he reveals the truth. This training, he explains, serves his enjoyment. Memories of a previous life surface, where Eileen's lack of strength had hindered their progress. This time, he is determined to help her reach her full potential. To further aid her growth, he offers to introduce her to a mentor capable of guiding her journey. The offer is met with a gentle but firm rejection. Eileen clarifies that her purpose for visiting lies elsewhere. Doubts about Mikhail's qualifications as a mage to provide effective training methods surface, her skepticism cutting through her words. Leon steps forward with enthusiasm, suggesting his own mentor instead. His unwavering confidence in this mentor surprises Eileen. He recounts how the mentor personally taught him the aura training method he now practices, a revelation that leaves her puzzled. Mikhail intervenes to clarify. While unable to perform the method himself, his deep theoretical understanding enables him to teach it effectively. Leon's unwavering support bolsters the explanation, gradually dispelling Eileen's doubts. Realizing the unfairness of her earlier skepticism, she offers a heartfelt apology. The sincerity of her words catches him off guard. Curiosity lights his eyes as he asks why she feels the need to apologize. Her explanation reflects newfound respect, acknowledging the well-meaning nature of his advice. Regret for her earlier rudeness colors her tone, revealing a side of Eileen he hadn't expected to see. A questioning glance from our boy prompts Eileen to demand an explanation. He waves off her concern with a casual assurance that nothing is wrong, though his joking remark about her guilty conscience stings her pride. Annoyed, she brushes it off and redirects the conversation, insisting he proceed with introducing her to the mentor. Instead of complying immediately, he leans back with a composed expression and declares he won't share such valuable information without something of equal worth in return. The demand makes her pause. A suggestion of deferred payment is quickly rejected, leaving her no choice but to sigh and retrieve a flawless monocrystal from her pocket. The rare and gleaming crystal surprises him. Eileen explains that she had intended to use it for negotiations, given its immense value in dungeon expeditions. The revelation stirs suspicion in Mikhail's mind, drawing him to question how much the Lindell family knows about the Peril family's dungeon ventures. The cunning influence of her grandfather seems to linger behind her actions, affirming suspicions of meticulous orchestration. Acknowledging both her resourcefulness and readiness, he accepts the crystal. Shifting the focus, he brings up a legendary figure, asking if she has heard of the Arbiter of Lawlessness. Excitement lights up Leon's eyes as he jumps in, describing the figure as the oddball of the Western era, a swordmaster unaffiliated with any empire. The title prompts a nod of agreement. Our boy introduces the figure as Milium Arielon, the sword overlord of the West, renowned for defeating the 7th Legion commander of the demon god's army. He then reveals that Milium will serve as the mentor he mentioned earlier. Doubt clouds Eileen's face as she questions how someone from his family could secure Milium's cooperation, especially when even the Margrave of the West failed. A refusal to elaborate meets her inquiry, leaving her to dwell on the mystery. Turning to Leon, Mikhail reminds him of their earlier discussion about the temple. Leon confirms his understanding and asks about the timing. With calm precision, the meeting is scheduled for the next day, and an invitation is extended to Eileen, instructing her to prepare for a journey to the capital. The sudden decision catches her off guard. Demands for an explanation rise, questioning the need for her involvement and the trip's purpose. His response is vague but firm, urging trust in the process and stressing the urgency of learning the training method. Thoughts drift toward the region's turmoil, the contentious hero selection event, and the mysterious presence of the Arbiter of Lawlessness in the capital. These developments weave into his plans, offering an opportunity to address multiple issues. Frustration grows as Eileen presses for clarity, yet her persistence is met with deflections. The lack of transparency leaves her uneasy about the role she is to play in the unfolding chaos. The scene shifts to a grand palace where our boy sits on a regal chair. A mystical spirit, Seth, appears and engages him in conversation. Seth comments on the lively nature of the young individuals they had encountered, contrasting their energy with Mikhail's calm and reserved demeanor. Encouragement to adopt a more carefree attitude follows. But our boy, acknowledging his complex character, admits that his experiences over the years have left him with a touch of corruption. Seth inquires about the mana crystal and his plans for it. Explaining that he intends to use it to craft a personal artifact, as most mages would, Mikhail listens as Seth expresses admiration for his innovative ideas and presses for details about the artifact. The possibilities are vast, given the variety of ingredients available, and he reveals that his intention is to create a staff, which piques Seth's curiosity. Practical concerns about needing a medium to hold the mana crystal in place and a tree with at least 100 years of holy power to manage the crystal's energy are raised by Seth. Assurance follows as our boy explains that he has a plan to acquire what is necessary. Though acknowledging his confidence, Seth remains puzzled by the earlier cryptic hints. Choosing not to clarify, he hints at using a branch from the world tree in his plans. Flustered by his deduction, Seth asks how he had figured out her connection to the world tree. Calmly explaining that it hadn't been difficult to deduce, Mikhail mentions that he is in the process of planning the creation of a staff using mana crystals as powerful artifacts. Refining the crystals to craft a unique orb is described as a task that would not be easy due to the challenges of refining mana crystals. The refining process is known to be a challenging one, with a failed attempt capable of destroying an entire territory. Confidence remains firm, as our boy explains he had refined mana crystals many times before his regression and perfected the technique. Seth asks how he plans to manage the many mana circuits within the crystal. An additional spell will remain active, allowing control of the crystal. To bypass the mana limit, he intends to use a combination of 4 specific spells: Special Engraving, Mana Control, Amplification, and Spell Attachment. Amazement follows as Seth questions how he developed such expertise, typically found only in high sorcerers. Attributing it to a mix of natural talent and patience, Mikhail notes Seth's lingering skepticism. Using blood to alter the crystal's properties and imprint his mana signature marks the final step of the process. As the blood is applied, the crystal transforms, turning a deep black. Seth observes that the color of the orb usually reflects a mage's unique mana properties. Rare compatibility with all forms of magic makes him an exception to the usual rules, as our boy explains. Surprise flashes across Seth's face as he manipulates the crystal with a fireball, causing its color to change again, this time to a vibrant red. The shift signals a decrease in mana consumption and an increase in efficiency. Testing the maximum output of the newly refined crystal becomes the next eager step. The next day, Mikhail meets with Leon, who informs him that Orc Barrack in the mountains had been destroyed the previous night. While it is a relief to be rid of the monster, Leon's father has been searching for it ever since. Our boy seems unfazed, and Leon, realizing something is amiss, suspects Mikhail is responsible. With a grin, our boy confirms Leon's suspicion, praising the orcs on his territory. Leon is frustrated with Mikhail's unpredictable actions. An old man speaks with the holiness about a prophecy that had been foretold. The old man had shared the prophecy as instructed, but it seems Archbishop Naren did not respond well to the news. The Holiness acknowledges the difficulty of convincing others about the significance of the prophecy, recognizing that it has set a poor precedent. Despite these challenges, the Holiness remains determined, emphasizing the importance of monitoring the prophecy. The old man reports that they have not yet located Cassandra, the prophet in question. He suggests that sometimes ignoring a prophecy could be beneficial, as it would pose minimal risk. However, the Holiness has doubts about this approach and believes they should not ignore Cassandra's prophecy entirely. The Holiness hopes that someone will eventually be willing to work with them. Eileen asks our boy about the prophecy they are planning to investigate. Mikhail confirms that their journey is related to the prophecy. Eileen expresses doubt about the reliability of prophecies, noting how difficult it is to interpret visions accurately. Our boy agrees with Eileen's skepticism, acknowledging that prophecies are uncertain and unreliable. He also points out that even after translation, there is no sign that the prophecy will be fulfilled soon. Our boy mentions that, at this point, becoming a hero holds little value since heroes are most needed when there's an urgent threat. However, he argues that their journey still holds value, as traveling to the capital will allow them to make important connections with people from the divine country. Eileen questions the importance of these connections, and our boy emphasizes their significance in the larger context. Eileen then asks about the Arbiter of Lawlessness, and our boy reassures her that they can make contact with this figure once they reach the capital. Mikhail has one final goal: to find Cassandra. He asks his butler about the progress of a task he had assigned earlier. The butler informs him that agents from the divine country have been sent to search for the prophet, but Cassandra has not been found. It is also reported that Cassandra had been seen with a knight at the border before going into hiding. She left a cryptic message which intrigues our boy. The butler reveals that Cassandra's message said she would be waiting for something or someone, sparking Mikhail's curiosity. Their journey begins with our boy using his teleportation magic to transport his group to the grand capital city. However, one of the group members, Leon, is uncomfortable with the magic. He feels nauseous and voices his dislike for relying on magic. Leon is frustrated by their choice of transportation. While horses and carriages are available, they have used magic for convenience. Mikhail, calm as always, explains that magic is the fastest way to their destination and has brought them to the capital city quickly. Leon remains skeptical and, as they enter the city, is struck by its grandeur. The capital city seems far more impressive than any other city they have encountered. Eileen admires the city's elegance but isn't as enthusiastic as Leon. Our boy agrees with Eileen's view, which adds to Leon's frustration, as he hoped for support in his criticism of magic. As the group marvels at the capital's magnificence, Mikhail briefly reflects on the past before focusing back on their mission. The group moves toward the central temple, keeping their focus on the mission. However, their path is interrupted when Seth points out a scene nearby. A young girl is confronting a bandit, warning him about the consequences of his actions. Intrigued, our boy watches the situation unfold. The bandit, ignoring the girl's threats, raises his hand to strike her. Unwilling to let harm occur, Mikhail uses his shield magic to protect the girl. Just as the bandit is about to strike, a knight appears, drawing his sword. The knight's blade cuts through our boy's shield, disintegrating it, and the bandit is knocked to the ground, ending his assault. Mikhail quickly scolds the knight for using violence in the capital city. The knight's actions are questioned, but our boy, ever the diplomat, urges him to sheath his weapon to prevent further escalation. The girl asks the knight to stop and expresses her happiness at meeting Mikhail, which sparks curiosity in the group about their connection. When our boy asks if they've met before, the girl gives a cryptic answer, suggesting they haven't. Leon, tired of the situation, suggests they move away from the growing crowd. Mikhail agrees but uses his hold magic to immobilize the defeated bandit and quickly searches his belongings. The bandit, frustrated, protests the search. Our boy calmly explains that he's returning a pouch to its rightful owner, pointing out a symbol on it that links it to the divine country. The bandit claims it's his, leading to a brief exchange. Mikhail leans in and quietly warns the bandit about the inconsistency of his actions. Leaving the bandit with a warning, our boy tells him to pass on a message to a brown rat and to understand its significance. Before the bandit can respond, Mikhail silences him and instructs him not to speak. The pouch is returned to its rightful owner, the mysterious girl. Leon and Eileen, still puzzled by the cryptic exchange, are left confused by the girl's words. The butler suggests that she might be a prophet, a thought that shocks the group as they try to understand its implications. Noticing the group's confusion, the girl spoke up, her voice carrying a quiet authority as she introduced herself. Her name was Cassandra. The scene shifts to the city's sewers, where the bandit from earlier is reporting to a higher authority. Still shaken from his encounter with the group, the bandit explains the cause of his distress. He informs his boss that a Walpurgis is actively searching for him and had attempted to retrieve the stolen pouch. Initially dismissive, the boss's attitude changes to frustration and anger. He had expected little from the young Walpurgis, viewing them as an insignificant threat. The boss chastises the bandit for returning empty-handed, especially after being outwitted by a child. In his anger, the boss summons a monstrous creature to deal with the bandit. As the creature closes in on him, the bandit recalls Cassandra's warning about getting into trouble, but it's too late. The creature kills him quickly and brutally. The boss, now in a difficult situation, ponders how to deal with the growing conflict with the Walpurgis. Suddenly, a knight with striking purple hair appears in the sewer, adding more complexity to the situation. The knight stands at a crossroads, needing answers that the boss of the bandits can provide. Amused by the turn of events, the boss grins and chuckles. Determined, the knight points her sword at the bandit boss, demanding answers. She makes it clear that any attempts at deception will have serious consequences. Realizing the danger, the boss tries to strike a deal with the knight, recognizing her skill as a swordmaster. He begs her to spare his life, warning that her child will remain elusive if he dies. He offers valuable information in exchange for her agreement to a task. Intrigued, the knight asks what he wants from her. The boss, his face shadowed, reveals that a figure named Walpurgis is involved in their current predicament. Cassandra requests a private meeting with our boy and asks the butler, Eileen, and Leon to wait for her return. Leon, possibly frustrated from earlier events, decides to proceed with the preparations at the temple and invites Mikhail to join him after his discussion with Cassandra. Eileen also chooses to accompany Leon to the temple, but before leaving, our boy stops her for a brief exchange. He quietly warns her to be cautious in dangerous situations, and she nods in acknowledgement. With the group gone, Mikhail can now focus on Cassandra. Eager to learn the reason she sought him out, he listens intently. Cassandra explains her extraordinary ability to foresee the future. She asks our boy if he has ever received the blessing of prophecy. Since childhood, she has experienced visions of future events, often unwanted and troubling. These premonitions include the deaths of friends and catastrophic events, such as carriages being destroyed. Her desire to prevent these tragedies only seems to make things worse, creating a cycle of repeating disasters. One of her most troubling visions is of the arrival of a demon god and the potential end of the world. Desperate, Cassandra turned to the Pope, hoping to be taken seriously, but her pleas were ignored. The burden of her gift and the isolation it caused had become too much to bear. Cassandra's unique gift has left her isolated and suffering. On the brink of hopelessness, one of her visions changes, merging with another sight, a meeting with a man, Mikhail. She sees this as her final chance to understand and control her ability, so she seeks him out. Our boy admits he is not a prophet and has no similar gifts. Cassandra is disappointed but finds hope in his willingness to help. He expresses curiosity about her ability and the possibility of altering destiny through her visions. Touched by his sincerity, Cassandra decides to trust him completely. From that moment, Mikhail and Cassandra form a connection based on shared hope and curiosity about fate. At the temple, Leon arrives to register as a hero. He introduces himself and urges the registrar to speed up the process. The registrar, however, reminds him that only genuine heroes are sought and emphasizes the importance of proper conduct. Leon assures him of his sincerity, while Eileen and the butler wait with him for our boy. As they turn, expecting Mikhail, an unexpected figure appears instead, the knight from the underground. Identity hidden behind a steel mask, the knight approaches with purpose and demands information about a child who had visited. In the temple's sacred halls, Leon and Eileen find themselves in a tense situation with the powerful knight. The knight's intimidating presence forces them to quickly draw their swords, ready for any confrontation. Eileen, despite the tension, remains curious about the knight's motives. Eileen looks to Leon for any clue about the identity of the imposing knight, but Leon is as uncertain as she is. All he can confirm is the knight's exceptional skill with a sword. The knight, unfazed by their defensive stance, repeats her demand for the location of the child who had been with them. Leon thinks of Cassandra, the prophet meeting with our boy, but he refuses to reveal any information, believing it unnecessary. Without warning, the knight moves swiftly, striking Leon and knocking him to the ground. At the same time, Eileen is thrown into the air and falls hard, leaving her shaken and bruised. Despite her injuries, Eileen sternly warns the knight that such actions in the Empire's central temple will not go unpunished. The knight, undeterred by the warning, shows no concern for the consequences. She states confidently that her true identity will never be uncovered, leaving Leon and Eileen stunned by her strength and resolve. Still holding her ground, the knight declares that anyone seeking to harm her must first present the head of a Lindell, a rare and dangerous creature, as proof of their resolve. Eileen, shaken and bewildered by the knight's firm stance, struggles to decide her next move. Suddenly, a memory surfaces for Eileen. She recalls Cassandra, the prophet, and the promise Mikhail made to find her. The name Caryaman comes to mind, and Eileen considers whether it might connect these events. Testing her hunch, she calls out the name. The knight immediately turns her attention to Eileen, her reaction swift and intense. She demands to know how Eileen knows the name, leaving Eileen stunned. Despite this, the knight reveals nothing further about herself. As the tension grows, our boy steps forward from the shadows, calm and composed. He states he has the answers needed, offering to clarify the situation. The knight reluctantly asks Mikhail about his identity. He confirms without hesitation that he is a Walpurgis, a revelation that surprises the knight. She mockingly questions his boldness, implying she should dictate the terms of their encounter. Her laughter carries an unsettling edge, hinting at a hidden instability beneath her composed exterior. The spirit accompanying Mikhail warns him to remain cautious. In response, he casts a defensive spell called Circle Expansion, surrounding himself with protective magical circles. The knight reacts swiftly, attacking with her sword. Our boy manages to block the strike with his shield, holding his ground. Despite the attack, he tries to initiate a conversation to understand the knight's motives and find clarity in the situation. However, the knight shows no interest in dialogue, remaining focused on her goal. As the fight continues, Mikhail considers the time limit of his Circle Expansion spell, which will last only 5 minutes. Recognizing the need for strategy, he prepares to evade the knight's relentless attacks while waiting for an opportunity to counter. He casts a unique spell known as the Quad Casting Spell, stacking 4 layers of haste and eagle eye to enhance his speed and perception. The effects take hold instantly, allowing him to move with exceptional agility. With newfound grace, he avoids the knight's persistent sword strikes and quickly closes the distance. Using his massive gravity spell, he targets the knight's blade, delivering a powerful blow that unleashes a burst of magical energy. Despite the force of the attack, the knight holds firm, successfully blocking it. Showing impressive composure, the knight readies another strong sword swing. At this critical moment, Leon steps in, reminding the knight that our boy is primarily a mage and not trained in the manipulation of aura, emphasizing his non-combatant role. The knight's aggressive actions prompt Mikhail to question her intentions. In response, she summons her aura, a powerful glow enveloping her and her sword, signaling her readiness to challenge him. The swirling energy hints at an impending display of power. Undeterred, our boy calls upon Seth the Spirit for assistance. Seth quickly responds, unleashing a torrent of green mana that surrounds Mikhail in a storm-like swirl. The mana disperses the knight's azure aura, momentarily leaving her stunned. Despite this apparent victory, our boy strains his body to withstand the immense energy. Concerned, Seth notes the toll it has taken, but he assures her he is unharmed. Surprised by the turn of events, the knight questions the nature of Mikhail's defenses. He deflects the question, implying that some secrets are better left undisclosed. Intrigued, the knight observes that our boy bears a strong resemblance to someone named Idan, whom she refers to as that snake. Mikhail confirms the connection, revealing that Idan is his father. With a knowing smile, our boy shifts the dynamic of the conversation. He questions whether his revelation about his identity is enough to prove his intentions. The knight, showing a trace of approval, acknowledges its authenticity but remains pressed for time, her urgency clear. She asks Mikhail how he came to know her name. He attributes their encounter to chance, recalling an incident where he offered water to an exhausted traveler. He had asked the traveler about his destination, a question that now seems central to understanding the knight's identity. Curious, the knight demands more information, specifically where the boy had intended to go. Our boy remains firm, convinced the boy had deliberately kept his destination a secret. Despite this, the knight stresses her obligation to find the child, her tone revealing a strong sense of duty. Mikhail takes the opportunity to share another key detail, his expression calm but purposeful as he prepares to reveal more. He hints at an important detail that could provide new insight into the situation, referencing a deeper conspiracy. He quietly whispers the name Sir Milliam. Upon hearing this, the knight is left speechless. In a dark underground labyrinth, the bandit boss, Goreth, inspects the imprisoned children. The torchlight casts shadows on their faces, showing their despair. Goreth, a cruel figure, surveys the scene with disdain. His attention falls on one particular child, and a question arises in his mind about the child's appearance. He points at the child, doubting their value. A subordinate, eager to please, explains that the children might appeal to buyers who prefer obedient types. However, this explanation does little to calm Goreth's growing frustration. With a swift motion, he signals his impatience. Goreth kicks his lackey in the midsection for his disrespect. He scolds him, explaining that customers do not want obedience, but rather to break those who appear tough and force them into submission. Goreth, not in a particularly bad mood, warns the lackey that he is lucky today. Otherwise, he would feed him to the shadows. Despite his anger, Goreth feels some relief that he has controlled his temper for now. As he reflects on the situation, Goreth finds comfort in knowing he has a powerful ally in the great swordmaster, who once had a child named Karan, a former prisoner behind these iron bars. Suddenly, a messenger enters the room, bringing news about the prophet's location. Goreth, always seeking valuable information, eagerly asks about the prophet's fate. The scene shifts to the temple, where our boy, a powerful figure, talks with Archbishop Arlie. Mikhail speaks of the underworld's dark plans, revealing that a malevolent force wants the prophet's prophecies for their own gain. Archbishop Arlie, a figure of authority, listens attentively. At first, the Archbishop dismisses the idea, doubting that such dangerous elements would challenge the Empire's authority. However, Seth, confident and resolute, suggests a connection to heresy. The Archbishop, shocked by the bold accusation, demands proof. At this moment, the Lady Knight, a symbol of bravery, steps forward. She explains the plot to kidnap the prophet, a sinister plan that our boy had stopped. Her story reveals a complex web of danger, setting the stage for a confrontation with the underworld. The knight vows to use her sword to bring justice, promising to eliminate Gorath, the mastermind behind the shadows. The Archbishop, still processing the shock of this revelation, listens as the knight drops another bombshell. Gorath, the elusive figure behind the underworld, is actually a monstrous monarch controlling the shadows. Archbishop Arlie, accustomed to bearing heavy responsibility, visibly reacts to the shocking truth. The knight calmly reminds him of the gravity of the situation. The name Odious Monarch causes fear in the ecclesiastical chambers, as it is linked to the 12 monsters who once served the demon god. Seth confirms that the Odious Monarch is hiding in the heart of the capital. The Archbishop, troubled by this revelation, questions Seth's certainty. If the servant of the demon god is truly in the city's shadows, the consequences would be severe. Mikhail then questions the Archbishop's understanding of his prophetic duties. Caught between divine expectations and his own lack of knowledge, the Archbishop hesitates. Doubt appears in his eyes as he realizes that his authority is weakening. Our boy considers that if the Archbishop contradicts his words, he would be opposing the entire country, as the demon servant, long believed to be gone, has been hiding in the capital under the Archbishop's watch. Mikhail believes this could cause the Archbishop to lose face, and tells him that he can help fix the problem. Our boy tells the Archbishop that he will subjugate the odious monarch with Sirmilium, but he needs one promise from the Archbishop. The Archbishop asks what the promise is, and Mikhail explains that it's about the hero selection. Our boy believes it's not too much to ask, as it's just an incarnation. The Archbishop, understanding the seriousness of the situation, agrees to Mikhail's condition. He vows to support Mikhail's claim as the hero if Mikhail succeeds in subjugating the odious monarch. The Archbishop, using a quill as a symbol of divine authority, makes the promise. A pact is formed in the ethereal ledger of destiny, binding their fates together. The trio leaves the temple, feeling the weight of their collective destinies. As they step out, the Lady Knight expresses her gratitude to Seth, acknowledging that without his help, Gorath would still be controlling her. The knight wonders if our boy has told Lindell's child the truth, considering the complex relationships involved in their lives. He explains that his knowledge comes from a brief conversation, which nearly led him into Gorath's trap. The Lady Knight, eager to reunite with her child, asks Mikhail if it is possible to find her child. He asks what she would do if he could. The knight, frustrated by pointless games, responds that she hates such tactics, especially when it involves her child. With determination, the Lady Knight slams her sword into the stone floor and promises that if our boy reunites her with her child, she will dedicate her sword to him. Our boy, satisfied with his success, realizes that he has achieved his goal in the capital. The city, once unaware, now stands on the verge of change, its fate uncertain. Meanwhile, in the lawless lands, a woman is caught in a tragic tale. Her husband, once a guiding light in a dark world, is killed by a group of rogues. The story begins with her seeking revenge, which leads her into a confrontation with lawlessness itself. Driven by grief and a desire for vengeance, she avenges his death but finds that hatred still lingers within her, overshadowing her soul. Her quest to understand why her husband died takes her deeper into the world of lawlessness. She uncovers harsh truths. Lawlessness is the force behind many of the tragedies in a land where chaos rules. Ferocious beasts roam freely, preying on the weak, and suffering is common. In this world, she steps into a new role as the arbiter of lawlessness. Her goal is clear: to bring order to chaos and impose justice where it is absent. The scene shifts to the underground where the bandit boss faces the consequences of his actions. The woman, now the arbiter, disrupts the plans of the criminal underworld. The boss, usually in control, feels the effects of his misdeeds and considers escaping his situation. However, the odious monarch has other plans. A tense exchange between the boss and the shadow highlights the importance of their contract. But the boss prioritizes his survival over the agreement. While he struggles with this decision, a subordinate brings news of an impending attack by the Swordmaster, a powerful figure of justice. Before the boss can act, the shadow, now embodying the odious monarch, strikes, ending the boss's life. The narrative then shifts to the Swordmaster, who expertly defeats many of the underworld's members. Eileen and Leon watch, impressed by the Swordmaster's skill. Eileen feels a strong connection to the swordsmanship she witnesses, imagining it as the path she wants to follow. Meanwhile, Mikhail, an enigmatic figure, observes the events and talks with Seth, a spirit who accompanies him. Seth comments on the knight's restraint, noting that her powers could cause destruction in the lawless underworld. Mikhail agrees that the attack on the underworld has caused more trouble than expected. Seth warns Mikhail not to underestimate the situation. Mikhail realizes that the real danger lies not in the skirmish with the underworld, but in the looming threat of Gorath, the incarnation of the odious monarch. Back in the underground, the boss's body, now controlled by the odious monarch, embarks on a dark quest. Driven by an unending hunger, the shadow seeks to devour not only the prophet, but also the memories it cannot reach. Asura, an unexpected figure, stirs the shadow's hunger, leading it to target the hostages, especially the children. The shadow sees an opportunity to satisfy its craving for memories. Eileen continues her relentless assault on the bandits, focused on proving her power and challenging the teachings of Lindell. She enters a heightened state of focus, unleashing a red aura around her sword, which leads to a swift defeat of the bandits. However, the toll on her body becomes clear as she spits blood after the battle. The knight, recognizing Eileen's talent, offers to mentor her, acknowledging her skill as a swordsman. Eileen, humbled, accepts the offer, choosing to follow a different path from the Parslope child. Meanwhile, Seth expresses concern for our boy's condition after the taxing battle with the Swordmaster. Our boy reassures Seth that he is unharmed as he descends into the underground. He stops in front of a cell, his curiosity piqued by the unfolding events involving the odious monarch. He shares his doubts about the purpose of the odious monarch consuming children. Seth, shocked by this, witnesses the odious monarch near the area where the hostages are held, setting the stage for a chilling confrontation in the aftermath of the underground chaos. The odious monarch, surrounded by malevolence, reclines in a foreboding chair, and an oppressive silence fills the cavernous space. The arrival of our boy, an unexpected figure, disrupts the stillness. He steps into the domain of the odious monarch, unfazed by the sinister atmosphere. The odious monarch, amused, greets Mikhail, commenting on his delayed arrival. Mikhail responds by questioning whether he had kept the odious monarch waiting for too long. The exchange sets the stage for a confrontation beyond the physical realm. The odious monarch takes pleasure in the suffering of captive children, revealing the depth of his malevolence. Mikhail sees this as confirmation of the evil within all commanders under the demon god. The odious monarch, acknowledging the sacred artifact in Mikhail's possession, expresses his awareness of it. He finds an unexpected advantage in having both the prophet girl and our boy armed with the holy item. Our boy, however, remains confident, challenging the odious monarch's perceived advantage. The odious monarch questions the source of his confidence, knowing that the holy item of Asura has already been used. Our boy, exuding confidence, dismisses the odious monarch's skepticism. The tension rises as the odious monarch hints at his intention to feed on the children, but Mikhail intervenes swiftly. The odious monarch unleashes his shadows toward the captives, but our boy uses his shield magic to create a protective barrier, stopping the shadows before they reach the children. The clash between dark and protective forces highlights the struggle between light and shadow. The odious monarch sees Mikhail as a potential pawn in his plan, but our boy responds with confidence. He instructs his spiritual companion Seth to focus on shielding the children while he faces the odious monarch. Seth, a guiding spirit cloaked in shadows, questions the decision to forego personal protection. Mikhail insists he needs no protection and directs Seth to protect the captives. Amused by the choice to abandon the protection of the spectral companion, the odious monarch relishes the idea of confronting our boy without the holy item's shielding aura. As the odious monarch laughs, his shadows surge toward Mikhail in a relentless assault. Our boy, using his agility, navigates the mid-air onslaught with skill, reflecting on the nature of the shadows. The shadows, weaker than those encountered before his regression, present little threat. Despite the danger, Mikhail counters the relentless barrage of shadow-based attacks with the Wing Cutter spell, a precise and powerful technique that cuts through the shadows. The odious monarch, momentarily taken aback, fails to understand how our boy has managed to withstand the onslaught while protecting the children. With the odious monarch at a disadvantage, Mikhail maintains focus. The odious monarch retaliates by summoning shadow-formed dragons, directing them with destructive intent. Mikhail, using blink and haste magic, moves swiftly across the battlefield, closing the distance to the odious monarch in an instant. The odious monarch attempts to exploit the proximity by striking Mikhail's right shoulder with shadows, aiming to capitalize on an assumed weakness. However, our boy remains steadfast. Placing his hand on the odious monarch's face, he acts with calm decisiveness, asserting control over the situation and preparing to end the confrontation. Recalling an ancient phrase, the eulogy of charity, our boy feels its power resonate, a force capable of sealing away evil. The phrase, long forgotten by many, carries the ability to deeply affect the souls of wicked adversaries. The odious monarch is shocked and unable to comprehend how a mere human could know of this ancient eulogy. The phrase connects to a time when heroes used it as a weapon against their enemies, but it has remained dormant in Mikhail until now. Recognizing the power of the eulogy, Mikhail sees it as a critical tool to confront and end the odious monarch. He reveals knowledge of the odious monarch's full name, further unsettling the malevolent entity. Without hesitation, our boy activates the eulogy, unleashing a powerful blast that engulfs the odious monarch. The sudden and decisive act surprises Seth, as the confrontation takes an unexpected turn. Shifting focus, our boy inquires about the safety of the captive children, moving the attention from the odious monarch's apparent defeat to their well-being. Seth, expressing concern about the aftermath of a commander's death, warns of the chaos it might unleash. As the odious monarch's presence fades, an unsettling transformation occurs. The odious monarch reemerges, now a monstrous purple entity, defying expectations and standing once more against Mikhail. The dimly lit chamber becomes the stage for a renewed battle. The odious monarch radiates malevolence, his aura filling the space with tension. The confrontation escalates as the odious monarch reveals his belief that he had succeeded in ending Mikhail, only to find himself facing the enigmatic warrior once again. The odious monarch assumes that our boy is acting impulsively and without a plan, fueling our boy's quiet amusement. Maintaining a calm demeanor, Mikhail takes a piece of chalk and begins drawing a detailed magic circle around the odious monarch. The chalk leaves behind glowing symbols that radiate faint arcane energy. Confident in his power, the odious monarch dismisses the act as futile, insisting that no magic or circle could undo the curse he has unleashed, a curse that only a mage of the 8th circle or higher could stop. Undeterred by the odious monarch's claims, Mikhail continues drawing with precision. He calmly explains that the odious monarch's limitations apply only to those attempting to break the curse without understanding its complexities. As the circle nears completion, our boy's spiritual companion, Seth, warns him of the formidable nature of a monarch's curse. Seth emphasizes its strength, adding a sense of urgency to the charged atmosphere as he works with determination. Sitting within the completed magic circle, Mikhail begins chanting words filled with ancient power. The chamber fills with shimmering magical energy, and a bright aura surrounds him. Instead of trying to dispel the curse, Mikhail uses the spell to analyze it, breaking it down to understand its structure and essence. He approaches the curse like a complex puzzle, studying its patterns and formulas with precision. Our boy focuses on unraveling the enchantment. This is a battle of intellect and magic, beyond the physical realm. As he delves deeper, our boy realizes the curse can be reversed. He resolves to dismantle it layer by layer, exposing its true form. With renewed determination, he channels his magic to undo the curse. The aura around Mikhail intensifies as the spell takes effect. Initially dismissing the effort, the odious monarch now watches with growing unease. Under Mikhail's growing power, the odious monarch begins to shrink, his form weakening as the curse starts to unravel. Understanding that fully eradicating the curse may be impossible, our boy weakens it significantly. The curse, deeply ingrained in the fabric of reality, seems beyond complete removal. However, our boy envisions future efforts to handle the diminished threat. When the curse begins to destabilize and threatens to explode, Mikhail directs Seth to contain it. Seth obeys, creating a massive storm of black mana that engulfs the curse, preventing its detonation and holding its energy within a swirling vortex. With the immediate danger contained, Mikhail decides to study the lingering effects of the curse, seeking to understand its aftermath. He sees this as a rare opportunity to gain insight into the workings of a demon's curse. As he focuses on this, Seth warns of a growing dark aura behind him. A spiraling black energy rises outside the chamber, foreboding and ominous. The butler observes the escalating situation with growing concern, his gaze fixed on the magical storm unfolding before him. Despite his unease, admiration for our boy's boldness in confronting such a formidable force colors his expression. Behind him, a skilled lady knight approaches, her steps measured and her armor gleaming faintly in the dim light. Known for her unyielding expertise, she questions the butler about his involvement in the unfolding events. Quick-witted as ever, he feigns ignorance, dismissing any direct involvement and pointing to his honorable nature. Her persistence cuts through his carefully placed words. She reveals that our boy himself suggested the butler might hold critical knowledge about their current predicament. A master of deflection, the butler responds with a vague comment about Mikhail's own uncertainty. Yet, her seasoned instincts detect layers beneath his words, prompting a subtle shift in her demeanor. Attention turns to the pressing danger of the curse, its dark energy still looming. The butler, pivoting the conversation, advises her to harness her aura to bind the curse, referencing their prior strategies. The knight, drawing her sword with the ease of long practice, prepares for the confrontation. Her voice carries a touch of nostalgia as she mentions their past battles. Under his guidance, their combined efforts begin unraveling the curse's dense energy. Each strike from her blade, infused with radiant aura, weakens the dark force further. Shadows dissipate into faint wisps, the lingering threat neutralized at last. With their immediate mission accomplished, both prepare for the challenges yet to come. Soft morning light filters through the grand temple windows the next day, illuminating the archbishop's solemn figure as he greets Mikhail. Gratitude laces his tone as he commends the decisive actions taken against the odious monarch. Surprise lingers in his voice over the victory's favorable outcome. The archbishop speaks of Beelzebub's defeat, the seventh general of the demon god's army, and the preservation of the capital. Though absent of grandeur, the victory serves as a grim reminder of the dangers demonic forces pose to the empire. The archbishop revisits his promise of support for our boy's journey toward becoming a hero, though he reveals the empire has already selected a candidate, Siegfried. Political undertones weave through his words as he assures our boy of his personal support, while urging caution amid the growing web of intrigue. Mikhail listens intently, contemplating the burdens of expectation and the complexities of his position. Leaving the temple, he carries the weight of this knowledge with quiet resolve. Outside, fresh morning air greets him as Eileen approaches, gratitude evident in her expression. She shares news of her mentor, the Lady Knight, departing on a new quest. Her voice is steady as she thanks Mikhail for his efforts, her words carrying both respect and finality. Eileen speaks of her aspiration to become a teacher. Our boy listens, offering encouragement for her to pursue her dream. She acknowledges his advice but reaffirms her commitment to follow her mentor. With regret in her eyes, she explains their engagement, a decision neither had truly chosen, and asks for forgiveness. Her hope for better encounters in the future lingers as she bids him farewell. Eileen's surprise is evident when laughter escapes from our boy, catching her off guard and leaving her momentarily flustered. He reassures her with a calm smile, explaining that his earlier indifference toward her remains unchanged. Encouraging her to focus on her own path, he advises her not to dwell on his feelings. A playful grin replaces her embarrassment as she interprets his words as the beginning of a friendly rivalry, boldly declaring that she will soon catch up to him. The conversation shifts as Mikhail turns toward the Lady Knight, signaling that his discussion with Eileen has concluded. He informs her of Eileen's imminent departure and remarks on fulfilling his promise. Without hesitation, he offers to disclose the whereabouts of her son, his voice steady and confident. Within the grand halls of the Holy Empire's palace, tension rises like an unseen storm. News of the odious monarch's presence in the capital reaches the Holiness, casting an uneasy shadow over the sanctity of the empire. The Holiness, unsettled, demands details from the messenger about the great demon's appearance. Assurances of the demon's defeat bring little solace. The messenger recounts how the odious demon was vanquished in a single day, a revelation that deepens the Holiness's confusion. Pressing for the identity of the one responsible, the Holiness listens as the messenger presents a sealed letter from the Archbishop. The document, bearing the Archbishop's official seal, recounts the astonishing feat of a young warrior who confronted and slew the demon. Descriptions of the event, supported by eyewitnesses such as the Lady Knight Cassandra and the Arbiter of Lawlessness, leave the Holiness in quiet disbelief. The extraordinary nature of the account challenges everything he believed about divine protection and the Empire's role in defending humanity. The young warrior's unexpected rise to heroism stirs awe and uncertainty in equal measure. As the Empire processes this revelation, doubt creeps into the Holiness's mind. Certainty, once unshakable, now teeters on the edge of collapse, leaving him to grapple with the implications of this miraculous event. Elsewhere, the conversation between Mikhail and the Lady Knight takes on a more personal tone. Speaking with calm resolve, he reveals her son's decision to leave her methods behind. Instead of joining the Vigilant Corps, sought his own path, becoming a respected member of the Condor Mercenary Corps. The Lady Knight listens intently as our boy explains her son's decision. The Condor Mercenary Corps, known as the Protectors of Freedom, holds a reputation for legality and honor in the often chaotic world of mercenaries. Members are required to shed their former identities, adopting new names as a symbolic commitment to the group's values. The weight of this truth settles over the conversation, leaving the Lady Knight with much to ponder about her son's choices and his independence. The Lady Knight contemplates the challenge of finding her son within the anonymity of the Condor Mercenary Corps. The task ahead seems daunting, and the realization weighs heavily on her. Our boy informs her that her son is currently among the Condor mercenaries, sparking a deeper conversation about the ethical implications of her pursuit. A question lingers as she voices her doubts. Is it right to search for him, knowing he has chosen a different path? Mikhail gently prompts her for clarity, seeking to understand her uncertainty. She explains that while her search has always been driven by love, it now feels like an intrusion. Her son has deliberately distanced himself from her way of life, and she fears her actions might have caused him harm. Past actions come under scrutiny as she reflects on her choices. The idea of being a good mother feels elusive, and she questions whether she has the right to find him under these circumstances. A gesture of reassurance interrupts her spiral of doubt. Mikhail places a hand over hers and urges her to consider having an open conversation with her son. He stresses the importance of understanding his perspective before making any decisions. Communication, he explains, is the first step to healing. Handing her a small bottle of elixir, he mentions its significance, explaining that her son will need it at the right moment. The small gesture brings a sense of relief. Gratitude fills her expression as she looks at the bottle, touched by his compassion. She thanks him for his kindness, and he reminds her that a parent's love should never waver, even if it feels unreciprocated. Renewed determination fuels her steps as she departs the capital. Watching her leave, our boy turns his attention to Leon, seated alone and visibly distressed. Leon walks toward the person, his expression heavy with unspoken emotions. He feels a deep sense of helplessness, weighed down by the aftermath of the odious incident. Rather than feeling the sting of criticism or the anger of others, what troubles him most is the feeling of being insignificant, as though he wasn't even worth the effort of disappointment. The confession elicits a thoughtful pause. Our boy listens intently, then offers a different perspective. Doubts, he explains, do not diminish one's value. Everyone faces moments of uncertainty, and they are opportunities to grow. To emphasize his point, he hands Leon a pendant, a symbol of their shared journey as hero candidates who passed the first trial. The gesture takes Leon by surprise, prompting him to question their original plan of traveling alone to the capital. A confident smile crosses Mikhail's face as he observes Leon's doubts. He recalls that Leon had once questioned himself in the past, highlighting that the uncertainty Leon feels now only emphasizes the need for him to embrace guidance. With unwavering certainty, Mikhail expresses his belief that Leon has the potential to become a sword saint, urging him to conquer his insecurities and solidify his determination. Leon, clearly embarrassed, questions our boy's authority and impulsively challenges him. The atmosphere grows tense until the butler enters, his calm demeanor cutting through the moment. Without hesitation, he advises Leon not to underestimate the kind of support our boy can provide in the trials of becoming a hero. Skepticism flickers across Leon's face as he raises an eyebrow. He questions the butler's presence, asking where he has been all this time. The butler, unperturbed, responds with a casual explanation about catching up with an old acquaintance. The discussion takes a turn when Cassandra enters. As a figure of authority, she highlights the Archbishop's vital role in their journey and underscores the importance of their collective support. Her presence brings a new weight to the conversation, bridging the gap between skepticism and reassurance. Acknowledging Cassandra's point, Mikhail nods but still wrestles with his reservations. Cassandra proposes resuming her previous responsibilities to offer additional assistance. She hints at the invaluable support of the parish's prophet, a notion that leaves the group in thoughtful silence. 4 days pass since the battle with the odious monarch. Resting in bed, Mikhail is covered in bandages, his body visibly bearing the scars of the confrontation. Seth approaches, informing him that his defenses have fully charged and his body is healing steadily. Urgency colors the discussion as Seth mentions the need to prepare for the powerful demon commanders drawing near. Her question about the source of his knowledge and abilities lingers, a curiosity born from their growing trust. Instead of answering immediately, our boy turns toward Seth, signaling his willingness to share. The complexities of his existence weigh heavily on him, creating a dilemma about how much to reveal. His regression and the intertwined destinies they face make full disclosure a risky choice. An idea takes root as he decides to share a partial truth. He tells Seth that she is not the sole guardian of Asura's tomb, a revelation that visibly surprises her. Adding to her shock, our boy explains that she was the first spirit he encountered in this sacred duty. The exception he reveals further deepens the mystery. The record of Thoth, he explains, still exists, its ancient knowledge absorbed by him before his regression. This record, tied to a tomb previously conquered by his party, had been exposed to the outside world, casting a new light on the enigma of Asura's tomb. Seth processes the revelation, her surprise giving way to cautious gratitude. She expresses her sense of fortune for being part of his journey, her loyalty reaffirmed. The conversation shifts as she assumes Mikhail knows of the next tomb. Focusing on the path ahead, Mikhail confirms her assumption. His sights are set on the tomb near the parish, fully committed to the quest to become a hero. Together, they prepare for the trials that await. Seth praises our boy for his strategic planning, but a hint of uncertainty lingers in his thoughts. He confides in her about one unresolved aspect of the record of Thoth, the identity of the entity revered as a god. With a careful listen, Seth hears our boy's inquiry about the gods of the continent. Currently, it's the wise one Heikau. He explains that in his previous life, Heikau was the sole god. The conversation shifts as Mikhail presses on, asking about the origins of the gods. He wonders if there were once two gods, and why the knowledge of Asura has faded over time. Seth, with limited knowledge, can only offer vague answers about the distant past. Unwilling to leave it at that, Mikhail continues his search for the truth behind the divine mysteries that obscure the continent's history. Seth's cryptic statement about an accident gives him pause. It seems as though she knows more than she has revealed, sparking a question about the extent of her awareness. With a calm yet serious tone, our boy tells her that he doesn't know exactly what will happen when all the holy items are collected. Seth acknowledges this, confirming that such details are beyond her knowledge. Accepting the current level of understanding, Mikhail concludes that TH had deliberately limited the information given to him. With the conversation winding down, he steps outside and encounters Leon, who asks if he plans to head to the parish immediately. Mikhail agrees, but decides to stay a bit longer. When Leon presses for an explanation, our boy reveals that the entity he defeated was a powerful demon. He notes that news of the event will likely spread throughout the Empire, including the parish. Our boy adds that even his father, Marquis Walpurgis, is now aware of the situation. Leon expresses concern about their association being discovered, but Mikhail believes it is too late to hide. Suddenly the sky darkens. Mikhail activates a multicasting shield to deflect incoming lightning, surprising Leon. He explains that it's a normal protective measure. In the dissipating smoke, Marquis Walpurgis appears, visibly angry. The scene shifts to the Archbishop's office. As he contemplates his role in selecting a hero, the emergence of a great demon compels him to take action. A smile spreads across his face as he thinks of our boy, Michel Walpurgis, as the ideal hero. Just then, a subordinate enters, reporting that Marquis Walpurgis is magically assaulting his son. The Archbishop is stunned by this unexpected turn of events as our boy flees from his father's relentless magical attack. Analyzing the nature of his father's attacks, Mikhail notices that each bolt carries a distinct signature, designed for light impact. As he dodges, a thought crosses his mind. Was his father deliberately using spells that would cause minimal harm? While evading the magical assault, a mix of awe and confusion fills Mikhail. He is impressed by his father's magical skill, but can't shake the feeling that his father's extensive research into magic has led him to use trivial spells. Amidst the chaotic exchange, our boy pauses, attempting to connect with his father, but his words go ignored. The relentless attacks continue. Blink spell activated, our boy evades most of the lightning bolts, but one strikes from behind. In a surprising turn, Seth, his spirit companion, steps in, intercepting the rogue bolt, protecting Mikhail from harm. The intervention catches his father's attention, causing him to momentarily stop his assault. Mikhail seizes the brief pause to ask a question. Does his father truly believe our boy pursues the hero's position simply for the sake of volunteering? The question lingers, prompting a response that hints at the complexity of their relationship. Unfazed, our boy asserts that the idea of a hero has evolved. It's no longer about volunteering, it's about facing unprecedented challenges. This statement piques his father's curiosity, leading to a brief pause in the clash. Shifting the conversation to something more pressing, Mikhail brings up the appearance of a great demon. His father dismisses it as propaganda, but Mikhail challenges him. What if this time it isn't just propaganda? Surprised by our boy's boldness, Walpurgis urges him to explain further. Our boy recounts the story of the demon's appearance and eventual defeat. Skeptical, Walpurgis questions the truth of the tale, asking how a great demon could appear and cause no harm. The situation takes a sudden turn when Archbishop Lindell enters, confirming Mikhail's account. He reminds Walpurgis of a meeting a year ago, which lends credibility to the story. Walpurgis is left with lingering questions, asking about the significance of the claim and whether the parish has found the soul of a hero. A triumphant smile spreads across Mikhail's face. The Archbishop declares that a hero has emerged, pointing directly to our boy. Walpurgis, confused, sees only his ordinary son. He dismisses the notion, calling Mikhail his stupid little son. His father seems oblivious to the revelation's weight. Observing Walpurgis's skepticism, Mikhail reminds him of something he demonstrated earlier. Now more attentive, Walpurgis asks if there's a connection. Mikhail grins, knowing his father would eventually catch on. In a sudden twist, Walpurgis uses teleportation magic and vanishes. Archbishop Lindell, bewildered, asks where he went. Our boy calmly assures him that Walpurgis will return shortly. Moments later, Walpurgis reappears. Mikhail asks if he's confirmed the truth. Walpurgis nods, his expression dismissive. He mentions his investigation into the situation in the capital, noting that it seemed as though a great demon could have appeared. But the idea of the hero title doesn't sit well with him. His contempt for religious figures is evident in his words. Mikhail, deep in thought, reflects on how the title of hero has lost its weight. He considers how the title holds no real significance when there's no immediate danger. However, if the prophecy were to come true, and the hero turned out to be the only one capable of preventing disaster, then the title would gain true importance. Walpurgis, skeptical of such a scenario, warns Mikhail not to underestimate the powerful figures within the parish. Unfazed, our boy raises his hand and unleashes a spell storm. The air crackles with magical energy, revealing a shocking truth that leaves both the Archbishop and Walpurgis in stunned silence. Our boy, empowered by the Holy Spirit, confidently assures his father that the schemes of the parish elders will fail thanks to his divine assistance. He emphasizes that the parish will be at a disadvantage and makes it clear that he has no intention of surrendering his right to choose his companions. Walpurgis asks if Mikhail has found any companions. Mikhail is prepared to challenge the established order and assemble a team capable of changing the fate of the impending disaster. Pointing to Leon, our boy informs his father that Leon is one of his comrades. Walpurgis observes Leon and expresses skepticism, noting that Leon doesn't seem like a hero's comrade. Our boy insists that Leon is indeed one of his comrades, and reveals that he enticed Leon with a promise of something remarkable in exchange for his help. Hearing this, Leon adopts a noble demeanor and affirms that he now considers himself a hero's comrade. He commends Mikhail for keeping his promises and emphasizes that Mikhail isn't foolish enough to pursue an impossible endeavor. Leon then turns to Walpurgis, affirming our boy's credibility. He states that Walpurgis, knowing our boy as he does, should recognize the validity of their cause. Walpurgis reflects on past instances where Mikhail handled challenges with determination and asks Archbishop Lindell a crucial question. Walpurgis asks the Archbishop if he will align with Mikhail instead of the parish. Without hesitation, Archbishop Lindell pledges his allegiance to our boy, swearing by God to stand by his side. Acknowledging the weight of the situation, Walpurgis prepares to leave and grants our boy the freedom to follow his own path. Mikhail, with a confident smile, assures his father that he will do just that. Later, Leon, visibly uneasy, questions Mikhail about the sincerity of his words to Walpurgis. Our boy reflects on the question and acknowledges that despite Leon's seemingly foolish demeanor, he always keeps his promises. With a serious tone, our boy instructs Leon to lie on the bed and begins a ritual. Using his fingers, Mikhail creates intricate spells, forming circles and chains around Leon. Leon grows sleepy and eventually falls into a deep slumber. When Leon wakes, he finds himself in a broken, desolate city, confused and disoriented. Struggling to make sense of his surroundings, he questions what kind of journey Mikhail's enchantments have led him on. In this mysterious subconscious realm, Leon feels trapped in an illusion. Suddenly, a voice calls out from a figure seated on a rock behind him. The figure, a warrior with an enigmatic presence, calmly explains that this world is an illusion, a creation within Leon's own subconscious. Leon cannot discern the warrior's facial features, which heightens his suspicion and awareness of the strange situation. The warrior jumps down from the rock and orders Leon to draw his sword. Without hesitation, the warrior strikes. Leon blocks the blow, but the force of it causes his sword to slip from his grasp. The warrior then thrusts his weapon into Leon's chest, yet Leon feels no harm. Confused, he watches as the scene resets, with the warrior returning to the rock, welcoming Leon once again. Determined to alter the outcome, Leon prepares for another confrontation. This time, he activates the Muller First form, surrounding himself with a glowing blue aura. With newfound determination, he charges at the warrior. Just as Leon believes he has gained the upper hand, the warrior counters unexpectedly, delivering a crushing knee to Leon's stomach. Collapsing to the ground, Leon is overwhelmed by the warrior's sudden counterattack. The warrior criticizes Leon for his lack of proper training before delivering a finishing blow, resetting the scene once more. Leon wakes in his bed, shaken but resolute, with our boy sitting by his side. Leon recounts the experience, expressing his strong desire to return to the illusionary realm and defeat the mysterious warrior. Our boy cautions Leon against repeating the same mistakes and advises him to reassess his approach. He encourages Leon to understand the mechanics of the illusion before facing the warrior again. Leon, still puzzled by the encounter, asks about the warrior's identity. Mikhail avoids giving a direct answer, but privately wonders if the warrior might be Leon's future self. Mikhail urges Leon to rest, as they have a journey planned for the next day. Leon asks about their destination. Our boy confirms that their ultimate goal is the parish, but adds that they will first visit the fairy forest. Alongside Leon and our boy, the group consists of Mikhail's trusted butler, Cassandra, and her knight. The group begins the journey to the fairy forest. Cassandra speculates that their destination may be tied to the mythical world tree. Mikhail confirms her assumption, mentioning its significance. Cassandra's knight, Helen, expresses skepticism about elves, criticizing their closed-mindedness and their belief in superiority. The butler jokes about trusting elves with large ears, prompting a light-hearted exchange between Helen and the butler that eases the tension. Our boy reminds the group that their goal is to reach the world tree. Leon asks about the purpose of the journey, and our boy explains that he intends to obtain branches from the tree. This revelation surprises the group. Helen questions how they will gain access to the fairy forest, and Mikhail confidently reassures them that it will not be difficult. When they reach the tree's roots, Mikhail announces that they have arrived at the base of the world tree. He explains that the roots of the tree stretch across the entire globe, acting as a conduit to its core, no matter where the tree physically stands. Cassandra senses the mystical energies surrounding them and observes that the exposed roots indicate the world tree is deteriorating. Helen warns our boy about approaching the world tree as an outsider, questioning whether it will accept him. Undeterred, our boy focuses on his plan and reassures her, beginning a spell called Lock Up, veiling his intentions in secrecy. A memory resurfaces, one of a critical moment before our boy's regression. The world tree was dying, and he confronted an elven companion. He urged her to overcome her grief and lead the elves, explaining that their responsibility had grown even heavier. The elf, overwhelmed with sorrow, mourned their failure to save the fairy queen. Mikhail reminded her firmly not to let despair consume them, insisting that hope had not yet been lost. Seth expresses frustration at being unwillingly dragged into these events, but she follows Mikhail deeper into the world tree. She questions his purpose, doubting his ability to influence such a sacred place. Curious, she asks about the world tree's significance. Our boy shifts the conversation, asking if Seth knows about the ancient entity tied to the tree. Seth explains the world tree's connection to Asura and its role in maintaining the cosmic balance. She contrasts it with entities like the Guardian of the Tombs, which served sacrificial purposes. Mikhail theorizes that those who guarded the tombs were sacrificed, while beings like the world tree represent the survivors. He anticipates discovering more about this connection as things unfold. As they move further, the vibrant life force of the world tree becomes more apparent. The spirit of the tree appears, introducing herself as Yggdrasil and expressing gratitude for our boy's arrival. Yggdrasil invites them to sit and converse. She recognizes Seth as her long-lost sister, but Seth remains unimpressed, noting that Yggdrasil's demeanor has not changed. Yggdrasil explains that her current form is only a small fraction of her duties as the world tree. She acknowledges Mikhail's knowledge of the eulogy, a revelation that elevates his significance. Our boy's connection to a holy item further strengthens his extraordinary bond with mystical forces. Yggdrasil surprises Seth by revealing that Mikhail has preserved Yggdrasil's sister. Seth, astonished, shares this with Yggdrasil. Seth then announces that our boy possesses the Toth record, leaving Yggdrasil stunned. She turns to Mikhail for confirmation. He admits to possessing the record but downplays its significance, believing it might merely be connected to the demon god or a similar entity. Yggdrasil struggles to understand the weight of our boy holding the Toth record, lost in thought about the gravity of the situation and the uncertain paths ahead. Suddenly, Yggdrasil undergoes a distressing transformation, her ancient responsibilities weighing heavily upon her. Yggdrasil begins to decay, a shocking sight for both Seth and Mikhail. Our boy realizes the cause is the demon god's blood, known for its resilience and destructive power. He now understands how the world tree withered away before his regression. Yggdrasil admits that if she had completely eradicated the demon god's remnants, the outcome might have been different. However, her inability to do so became a critical turning point. Mikhail asks if Yggdrasil is bearing the burden alone, and she explains using a metaphor. She willingly absorbed a poison with a 100% fatality rate to protect the world. Seth, saddened by this revelation, shares in the weight of the moment. When our boy asks about Yggdrasil's remaining time, she predicts she has only 4 days left. Despite this, she expresses hope, as her core remains uncorrupted, leaving a slim chance for salvation. Mikhail connects this revelation to the past. Before his regression, Yggdrasil chose to perish alongside the demon god's remnants. But this decision allowed the demon god to wait for her death and descend upon the world at the right time. This insight fuels our boy's determination to find a way to save Yggdrasil and the world tree. Mikhail specifies that he wants the finest and oldest branch of the world tree, pointing toward its roots on the opposite side of the colossal tree. Nearby, an elf kneels in contemplation within the sanctuary of the world tree, a place of refuge and spiritual significance. The elf, burdened with concern, seeks guidance from the ancient tree to protect it from the approaching threat. In silence, the elf waits for a response, knowing the tree's wisdom might remain hidden. After a long pause, the world tree stirs and acknowledges the elf. It reveals that a dark and insidious force is attacking it, and its immense power is no longer enough to hold off the threat. Time is running out, and urgency fills the moment as the elf absorbs the grim reality. The elf seeks guidance on how to prevent the impending disaster. The world tree speaks cryptically, mentioning a destined savior, a man who carries its light. This savior is the key to saving the world tree, and the elf must assist him. After delivering this message, the spirit of the world tree withdraws, leaving the elf deep in thought. As the elf reflects, a figure emerges from the shadows. The stranger introduces himself as Mikhail, a guardian of the world tree with an important mission. Together, the elf and our boy begin their journey, passing through a nearby town. Initially, the elf leads, but our boy soon takes charge, confidently guiding their path. The elf questions the shift, but Mikhail reassures them that any mistakes can be corrected. While traveling, Mikhail considers the destruction surrounding the forest and the role of fate in their journey. He decides to change the destiny of the current fairy king, who, in a previous timeline, died due to the remnants of the demon god. Our boy resolves to prevent the Fairy King's death, recognizing the strategic importance of preserving his life. The elf questions our boy about the absence of his companions. Mikhail, confident and enigmatic, explains that his companions will find their way independently. The elf, trusting but surprised, comments on the difficulty of navigating the forest. Mikhail responds with a cryptic smile, suggesting that not all individuals follow the rules of common sense. This leaves the elf thinking about the unconventional nature of our boy's companions. Before the elf can ponder further, a fairy knight arrives with urgent news. An intruder has entered the sacred forest. Our boy responds nonchalantly, hinting that he had been expecting this. The fairy knight also mentions a flying human among the intruders, which surprises the elf. As they process this information, the air becomes charged with an otherworldly presence. 4 ethereal horses descend from the sky, leaving the fairy knights in awe. The knights recognize them as the ominous riders of doom, preparing for a confrontation. Mikhail, however, recognizes the approaching figures and acknowledges them as his companions. With authority, he calms all 4 companions and questions their intentions, asking if they plan to cause harm to the forest. The response comes from Butler, one of Mikhail's companions, who expresses frustration about the sudden departure without explanation. A brief consideration passes through our boy's mind in response to Butler's accusation. Butler insists that the responsibility for the servant's actions lies with both him and our boy. Unfazed, Mikhail directs the fairy knights to tie up Butler, reflecting the balance of power and loyalty among them. Unexpectedly, Butler apologizes, promising not to repeat his actions. Cassandra, another companion, laughs at the situation, amused by the chaos they have caused. Leon, seeking clarity, asks Mikhail about his intentions. Our boy reveals a branch from the world tree as advanced payment and explains that he needs his companion's help with a specific task. They proceed toward the ethereal fairy palace. The elf informs our boy that it is the residence of the Fairy King, who is also the elf's father. Our boy recognizes the fairy palace as a place where elves and fairies have coexisted peacefully for ages. The Fairy King, an elf, is a revered leader chosen by both species. As they approach, the fairy inhabitants notice Mikhail's presence. The fairies identify Mikhail as a human, but an unusual one. Instead of recoiling, they approach him with curiosity, showing affection by hugging his face. They realize that Mikhail is a human blessed by some extraordinary force, which leads them to hold him in awe and respect. The elf accompanying our boy remarks on the unusual friendliness displayed toward outsiders, explaining that it is due to our boy's role as the envoy of the world tree. This responsibility grants him recognition, even among the typically reserved fairies. Our boy, unfazed by the attention, dismisses it as bothersome. The elf encourages him not to view the fairies negatively, emphasizing their kind nature. They reach the entrance to the Fairy King's room, and the elf opens the door. Inside, the Fairy King greets them, expressing delight at the rare visit of a human to the revered sanctuary and welcoming them all. Our boy bows respectfully before the Fairy King, thanking him for the warm hospitality. This display of humility catches the attention of an observant elf, who is surprised by Mikhail's understanding of fairy etiquette. The Fairy King, intrigued, steps closer and remarks on the depth of knowledge about their customs. With a mix of respect and confidence, Mikhail begins to share a tale that leaves both the Fairy King and the gathered company in awe. The elf and others, standing quietly on the outskirts, sense the weight of the moment. A blend of uncertainty and anticipation fills the air as Jihad steps forward, addressing the Fairy King as his father. He reveals the appearance of the World Tree, a rare convergence of realms that transcends the ordinary. The declaration causes disbelief and astonishment to ripple through the court. The Fairy King, attempting to process the gravity of the statement, questions Jihad's authenticity, stressing the need for proof, especially when it concerns something as monumental as the World Tree. In a moment of uncertainty, Jihad finds support in our boy. Our boy reassures the Fairy King that the claim can be substantiated. With a measured pause, he holds up a branch from the World Tree. The shimmering branch speaks for itself, its essence undeniable. Mikhail explains that this branch designates him as an envoy, chosen by the World Tree to bridge realms. The Fairy King, taken aback by the significance of Mikhail's status, lowers himself to one knee in respect. The recognition shifts the Fairy King's perspective, leaving Jihad to wrestle with a mix of disbelief and pride. Recognizing the gravity of Mikhail's connection with the World Tree, the Fairy King asks for his help to save the fairies. Jihad watches his father's plea, anxious and hopeful, uncertain of how this revelation will shape their future. Sensing the weight of the moment, our boy proposes a solution. He plans to create a tool to purify the toxin threatening the World Tree, using the power of the branch and enlisting the aid of a fairy workshop. During the conversation, our boy unexpectedly names Ur's Fountain, a renowned workshop where the famed elven blacksmith, crafts enchanted equipment. The Fairy King, momentarily startled by Mikhail's knowledge of the place, agrees to guide him there, understanding the urgency. However, before they can depart, Mikhail makes another revelation, explaining that the toxin plaguing the world tree originates from the remnants of the demon god. This shocks the Fairy King. Skeptical, the Fairy King questions the validity of the claim, unable to sense the dark energy that our boy describes. In response, our boy explains that the world tree has been suppressing the malevolent force, acting as a barrier between realms. He suggests that the Fairy King's weakened perception may be a result of the world tree's diminished strength. The Fairy King listens, clearly surprised and contemplative. Mikhail goes on to reveal that both the world tree and the Fairy King had attempted to communicate, but their efforts had been hindered by their respective limitations. Despite the urgency of the situation, communication between them had broken down. The Fairy King urges everyone to focus on the immediate threat. He explains that creating the tool to purify the toxin would alert the remnant of the demon god. The revelation shocks those present, raising concerns about the danger that lies ahead. Recognizing the urgency, the Fairy King quickly decides on a course of action. He instructs Jihad to accompany Mikhail to Urd's fountain and guide him to the workshop. Soldiers and knights of the fairy forest receive orders to prepare for the impending threat and protect their realm. With firm resolve, the Fairy King vows to prevent further tragedies in their land. Our boy approaches Cassandra and requests her collaboration with the elves, including Helen, to ensure a united effort to save the world tree. He assigns Leon to assist the elves in their preparations, organizing his team with precision. Mikhail stresses the need for immediate action to rescue the world tree. Accompanied by Jihad, he travels to Air's fountain, the sacred workshop. Jihad expresses curiosity about the mysterious techniques used by Urd to craft magical items, noting that no clear guide exists. Our boy assures Jihad that he has the knowledge to unlock Urd's secrets. He reveals that, in a past life before a mysterious regression, he served as a skilled creator at Urd's fountain. The magic items he crafted were more than tools. They were essential for survival. With this revelation, he begins their mission. Jihad watches closely as Mikhail works with the mana water, struggling to understand the intricate magic at play. Our boy explains his plan to use the mana water to extract the essence of the mistletoe. He assures Jihad the process will take only 4 days, though it typically requires a year of effort. Time, he emphasizes, is a luxury they cannot afford. Jihad raises concerns about a potential attack on the forest during this time. Mikhail acknowledges the risk but remains resolute, explaining that their mission is critical. Every action carries weight, and failure is not an option. Urd's fountain, our boy points out, holds more than just mana water. Hidden within the enclave are treasures, including the regal armaments crafted by Urd for the Fairy Kings. These ancient artifacts could prove invaluable if their situation worsens. Jihad receives instructions to search for the royal relics crafted for the Fairy King, while Mikhail focuses on refining the mistletoe. With their tasks clearly defined, Jihad sets off to locate the weapons, determined to contribute to their shared cause. Cassandra, Leon, and Helen discuss the situation. Leon expresses confidence in their progress, but Cassandra shares her unease. She admits she cannot clearly foresee the future, but feels unsettled about the state of the world tree. Despite her doubts, she places her trust in our boy. Helen, however, cautions against relying too heavily on him, though Cassandra remains steadfast in her belief that he will resolve the crisis. A sense of urgency binds everyone together as they work tirelessly to save their world. Each member of the group, driven by determination and hope, plays their part in this race against time. A dark aura blankets the area, suffocating and oppressive. The once vibrant flowers wither and decay under its influence. The ominous presence emanates from both the world tree and the surrounding forest. Before the group can comprehend the situation, a monstrous entity emerges. A towering snake-like creature, shrouded in black aura, with 3 glowing eyes radiating an unsettling, otherworldly light. The serpent surges forward, targeting Cassandra, Leon, and Helen. Its movements are relentless, exuding malice. Cassandra urges retreat, sensing the imminent danger. Leon hesitates, torn between his duty as a fairy knight and the survival of his companions. The creature's approach forces a split-second decision as the group braces for the worst. Doubt floods Leon's mind. Fear grips him as he struggles with feelings of inadequacy. A knight of the fairies, yet powerless against the advancing foe. The once serene enclave now seethes with menace, the air thick with tension as the creature closes in. Leon waits, desperate for our boy to intervene and turn the tide. Deeper within the enchanted forest, the Fairy King confronts a colossal snake-like monster. Soldiers unleash volleys of arrows, but the creature remains undeterred, its wounds superficial. The Fairy King erects a radiant barrier, a shimmering shield to protect his kingdom. Determined, he channels all his strength into holding the line. The barrier falters as cracks spiderweb across its surface. Fairy mages pour their magic into reinforcing it, but exhaustion takes its toll. The Fairy King, wise and steadfast, recalls a magical tool gifted by our boy, certain of its importance in this dire hour. Still, He knows the barrier won't hold much longer against the relentless serpent. At Urd's fountain, Mikhail works tirelessly, crafting a tool to defeat the monster. Seth, a spirit attuned to magical forces, informs him that only 3 days have passed. Our boy nods, satisfied with his progress. The final step looms. A glowing red orb must be fused with the crafted tool. When the orb merges, a burst of crimson light floods the workshop, signaling a pivotal moment in their mission. The beggar fairy forest stands on the brink of collapse. The black serpent intensifies its assault, and the barrier shatters under its power. Fairy mages fall back, drained and helpless as the serpent coils, ready to breach the kingdom. A blinding flash of light halts the monster's advance. Our boy arrives, radiant energy radiating from him as he unleashes the holy light spell. The serpent recoils, its momentum broken, if only momentarily. Relief washes over Cassandra at the sight of him. Surveying the battlefield, Mikhail assesses the threat with a calm, sharp gaze. The serpent's unnatural speed and ferocity underscore the urgency of their plight. Determined, he tightens his grip on the newly forged tool. Failure is not an option. The kingdom's fate depends on his resolve. Amid the chaos, the Fairy King strides toward our boy, his expression clouded with concern. It's not the battle that weighs on his mind, but the safety of his son. Despite the turmoil, the paternal worry etched across his face is unmistakable. A firm reassurance comes from our boy, who insists there is no need to fear for Jihad's safety. Determined, he ascends into the sky, placing himself squarely in the serpent's path. The creature's massive form looms larger with each passing moment, its terrifying size a stark reminder of the challenge ahead. The staff in his hand, crafted from the sacred world tree, amplifies his power. Holy Light, a spell that would normally fall short against such a foe, becomes a devastating force in his grasp. The advantage is undeniable, but questions linger in his mind. The origins of the creature trouble him deeply. Its existence cannot be mere coincidence. The debris making up the serpent carries the unmistakable influence of the world tree, twisted by years of proximity to its power. A grim realization strikes. This monstrosity is likely a remnant of the demon god, a fragment of malevolence left behind. Regret courses through our boy as he contemplates the consequences of his actions. A decisive blow could end the threat, but it would risk irreparable harm to the world tree. A different plan takes shape, one requiring precision and patience to exploit the serpent's vulnerabilities. A sudden streak of blue light arcs through the air. The glowing arrow, imbued with holy energy, slams into the serpent's debris, triggering an explosion that shifts the tide of battle. The craftsmanship is unmistakable. It is the work of the Elven Lord. Looking down, Mikhail spots Jihad wielding the weapons of the previous Elven Lord, his timing impeccable. The explosion reveals weak points in the creature's debris, and a faint smirk tugs at his lips as he acknowledges the significance of Jihad's discovery. A quick signal to Seth sets the next phase of the plan in motion. Confirmation comes instantly, and Mikhail steels himself for what comes next. The serpent, partially exposed, opens its maw, preparing a devastating attack. Without hesitation, he surges straight into the creature's mouth with unwavering resolve. Inside, the grotesque mass shifts and writhes. The eerie resemblance between the debris and its surroundings stirs unease. Seth, observing from a distance, mutters her confirmation. This is undoubtedly the debris they had feared. Darkness envelops the space as ghostly forms begin to manifest. The sudden appearance of demon-like entities heightens the danger. Our boy, navigating through the corrupted core, finds himself surrounded by malevolent specters. The stakes rise with every moment as the heart of the monster reveals its true horrors. The debris reveals its true nature as Seth identifies it not just as a lifeless entity, but as a breeding ground for demons. Though the demons spawned appear unstable and weak, she warns that their fragility is deceptive. They can revive endlessly as long as they remain within the debris. Strategic adjustments follow swiftly. Our boy absorbs the warning and prepares for what lies ahead. A sequence of spells begins with circle expansion, fluidly transitioning into the complex divine gate. A massive, mirror-like circle materializes above his head, but the strain proves immense, forcing blood to spill from his lips. The setback barely slows him. Regaining composure, he directs the radiant energy toward the swarming demons. A blinding beam of light engulfs them, reducing the threat in an instant. The potency of Divine Gate demands reflection. Its sheer effectiveness stands out in this dire situation. Seth, observing the decisive outcome, is struck by the spell's power. Recognition of its intricacy deepens her admiration, a reminder of the mastery Mikhail held even before his regression. Uncertainty lingers, however. The swift demise of the demons seems almost too convenient, prompting Seth to seek clarity. Her steps bring her closer as concern flickers across her face. Worry for his well-being mingles with curiosity about his strategic choices. The blood on his hand catches the light as he acknowledges the toll. Admission of overexertion comes with an explanation. Divine Gate's activation required immense mana. Using it in isolation was deliberate. Pairing it with other spells would have limited its duration to a mere 5 minutes. Despite the strain, resolve burns undimmed. The fight within the debris demands his unwavering commitment. Moments grow tenser as he delves deeper into the chaotic heart of the debris. The discovery of its core halts him. An eye, grotesque and pulsating, embedded within the mass. Seth's sharp gasp confirms the dread. It is the demon god's eye, the sinister force controlling events from the shadows. A malevolent gaze locks onto him and Seth as the eye opens, radiating ominous intent. Time becomes a precious commodity as the countdown for Divine Gate leaves 3 minutes. The eye retaliates, its attack separating them in an explosive moment. Quick thinking sends him hurtling forward with a blink spell, reappearing directly before the eye. 1 minute remains on the spell's clock. A yellow crystal emerges amidst the chaos, its glow an unsettling sight. Crushed under his hand, the crystal shatters as time dwindles to a precarious 30 seconds. The demon eye, enraged, prepares a devastating strike. Salvation arrives in the form of an ethereal arrow, its glowing trail piercing through the air. The well-timed intervention intercepts the attack, leaving Seth astonished as the arrow spares him from imminent destruction. Outside the debris, the precision of the arrow becomes clear. Jihad stands ready, responding to the earlier signal sent by Mikhail. He holds his ground as the battle reaches its peak. The demon eye looms ominously, and our boy steps forward, challenging its assumption that its connection to the world tree renders it invincible. A moment of reflection sharpens his resolve. Even in the face of failure and potential death, the fight against the darkness carries profound meaning. With unwavering determination, he unleashes a 7th circle spell, Egrail, inspired by the enduring spirit of the world tree. The spell embodies hope and resilience, drawing strength from the tree's ability to persevere despite being consumed by the debris. Even in destruction, it left behind a single sprout, a promise of renewal and rebirth. Energy surges outward as Egrail takes effect, its power focused entirely on the malevolent force within the demon eye. The spell carries with it the weight of countless struggles, symbolizing a final stand against the lingering shadows. A shift begins as the world tree's gratitude manifests. The curse afflicting its core dissipates, and the malevolent presence tethering the debris collapses. Jard, liberated from the weight of the past, aids in paving the way for a brighter future. The debris disintegrates, the dark aura vanishes, and the roots of the world tree brim with renewed vitality. A radiant glow spreads through the forest, captivating onlookers like Jihad, Marquis Lindell, and the Fairy Knights. Even the Fairy King gazes in awe at the transformation. Memories surface for Jihad, recalling a conversation with our boy where he promised that destroying the debris would allow the world tree to thrive again. A hint that Jihad himself would play a key role in its restoration offers him comfort now, as the prophecy comes to life before his eyes. The cosmic balance shifts subtly, and a distant call pulls at our boy's senses. The world tree acknowledges the vital role he played, expressing gratitude and declaring its readiness to once again protect the forest and its inhabitants. Calm and steady, he assures the ancient entity that all is in place, fulfilling his promise to save the tree. A hesitation arises as the world tree considers its part of the agreement. Mikhail desires its essence, a gift that would expand his power and increase the number of circles he can wield. Though modest compared to his life-saving actions, the request prompts deeper consideration. A decision is made. Rather than granting only its essence, the world tree offers a portion of itself, a gesture of immense gratitude. Seth voices concern over the imbalance this could cause, given the tree's recent recovery. The world tree counters that his selection was aligned with the reason Seth chose him in the first place. An unease lingers in Seth's expression. He notices and gently inquires, but she dismisses the concern with a soft shake of her head. For now, the focus remains on the future and the fragile equilibrium that must be maintained. The world tree bestows a profound gift, enabling Mikhail to not only gather mana but also store elemental energy within his body. Gratitude fills the air as he thanks the ancient entity. In a symbolic gesture, the world tree offers a few strands of its luminous hair to solidify their bond. When he jokingly asks if he should eat them, the tree clarifies with a chuckle that they are meant to be tied around his wrist. As the strands wrap around his wrist, a radiant glow envelops him. Healing energy flows through his body, mending injuries and restoring his magical circles. Mana surges with remarkable intensity, though perfectly controlled, signaling a transformation. The realization dawns that he has ascended to the rank of a 6-circle mage. Evening brings a vibrant celebration among the elves. The forest echoes with their joy, a stark contrast to the somberness of the injured community before his regression. Their lively spirits highlight the magnitude of the victory and the restoration of the forest's harmony. Laughter and music fill the air as the festivities continue. Amid the cheerful chaos, the Fairy King approaches, concern etched on his face. Reassurance flows easily, a quiet acknowledgement of the shared struggle and triumph. The Fairy King reciprocates with heartfelt gratitude, his renewed vitality a testament to the efforts of their hero. Talk turns to Prince Leon, whose growing prowess impresses even the seasoned mage. His ability to absorb the Fairy King's wisdom and foster connections with the spirits hints at a future brimming with potential. The Fairy King's warm smile reflects his pride in Leon, the praise a father treasures deeply. A reflective moment underscores the prince's unwavering admiration for his father. Before the regression, that respect was steadfast, and now it shines brighter than ever. Pride and gratitude mingle, a silent acknowledgement of the path they've walked together to reach this moment. Attention shifts as the Fairy King rises, his commanding presence quieting the celebration. With reverence, he announces the revival of the World Tree, a symbol of their collective honor. Yet his focus pivots to acknowledge a deeper truth. This victory was not theirs alone. The World Tree sought the aid of a hero, and it was that hero who saved them all. Cheers erupt as the fairy knights and gathered crowd recognize their savior. Declarations of loyalty resound, pledging the support of the fairies in his future endeavors. In a spontaneous act of celebration, the fairy knights lift him into the air, their jubilant cheers filling the night. Despite the overwhelming joy, a faint unease settles in, like a whisper from a distant memory. Elsewhere, within the confines of the Holy Empire, a cage holds the butler, a former antagonist now seeking redemption. His pleas for forgiveness mark the stirring of a new chapter, a turning point that hints at redemption amidst the echoes of past mistakes. A solemn meeting takes place as archbishops gather around a table under the leadership of the Holiness. The atmosphere is serious, reflecting the importance of the assembly. A man wearing glasses informs the group that rumors suggest the Holiness has chosen a new candidate for the role of a hero. The Holiness acknowledges how quickly the news has spread. The Holiness confirms that Archbishop Arley was consulted and approved the decision, but notes that the selection is not yet official. The man with glasses continues, explaining that the candidate comes from a family with a history of expertise in the arcane arts. The Holiness interrupts, emphasizing the need for caution and careful judgment as the situation develops. The Holiness reflects on how the archbishops have developed a sense of self-righteousness. To address this, the Holiness reminds them that their duty is to follow God's word, not to act on personal preferences. The message underscores the divine nature of their roles. Archbishop Kalayan, a bald figure, voices disagreement. He questions why new candidates are being excluded and accuses the assembly, including the Holiness, of altering the destiny of a child without divine guidance. The accusation highlights the complexity of their decisions. The Holiness calmly responds, explaining that if the child is truly suitable, they will naturally prove their worth and rise to the position of hero. The Holiness also emphasizes that heroism is not the only way to contribute to the greater good, as there are many paths to serve others. As the discussion ends, Archbishop Ken sits in silent thought, resolved to closely monitor the hero candidate's progress. The Holiness concludes the deliberation, officially ending the topic. Within the sacred halls of the Holy Empire, the Holiness reflects on the discussions, finding little of value but managing to use the time to address concerns about our boy and his actions. The focus shifts to the fairy forest, where our boy and his companions prepare to leave. Jihad, acting as a liaison between the elves and our boy's group, informs them that while the elves cannot join them physically, they are committed to offering support when needed. The elves, though confined to their magical forest, pledge their assistance, demonstrating a bond of friendship and mutual aid that goes beyond physical presence. Mikhail accepts the elves' offer with gratitude, his mind focused on the challenges ahead. During their conversation, Jihad asks if Mikhail plans to become a hero. After a moment of thought, our boy confirms that it is his current goal. Jihad, understanding the complexities of heroism, agrees that it suits our boy, but also points out the darker side of the world. He explains that false prophecies are often used to manipulate people, driving them into unnecessary conflicts. This, he says, is why the elves chose to retreat into the safety of the fairy forest, distancing themselves from the chaos of the outside world. Mikhail, serious and resolute, reflects on the political schemes of the Holy Nation. He recalls past encounters with those who claim to act righteously for the Holy Nation, a stark contrast to the path he is now pursuing, a path the elder archbishops had wanted but never directly supported. Despite the complexity of the situation, Mikhail remains focused on his chosen course. Jihad expresses concern for our boy's safety and invokes the protective blessings of the World Tree as our boy prepares to leave. Mikhail assures Jihad that he is capable of handling the challenges ahead. They exchange good luck and mutual respect before parting ways. In a moment of wisdom, Mikhail urges Jihad to remember their conversation. Jihad, confused, asks for clarification. Our boy explains that bearing all responsibility alone is unnecessary, as it won't change the outcome. He hopes Jihad learns the value of shared responsibility and collective action. After leaving, Mikhail reflects on Jihad's situation. Despite being a beacon of hope and saving many lives, Jihad remains constrained by the past, a reminder that personal growth is a journey. Mikhail's thoughts shift to Jihad, a noble figure whose nobility, though admirable, can make others uncomfortable. Our boy feels a strong desire to support him in a way that goes beyond the burden of nobility. This intention brings a genuine smile to Jihad's face, acknowledging our boy's commitment. Jihad assures Mikhail that he understands and promises to carry this newfound understanding forward. It is a moment of connection that Mikhail had hoped for, signaling a transformative journey ahead. Our boy, feeling confident after playing a key role in saving the world, believes in Jihad's potential for positive change. As our boy and his companions leave the fairy forest, a new chapter begins, filled with revelations and uncertainties. Helen, a companion, expresses curiosity about Mikhail's identity, questioning him beyond familial ties. Mikhail responds plainly, stating that he is the sole son of the well-known Purges family. However, it's clear that Helen's question goes deeper than just family lineage. The spirit companion among them echoes Helen's doubts, recalling a time when she wondered if Mikhail might be of mixed blood. This disclosure creates a sense of mystery surrounding our boy's true nature. As the group processes these uncertainties, our boy feels the need for transparency. Feeling the weight of truth, Mikhail gathers his companions and signals that a revelation is coming. The group's attention focuses on him, anticipation on their faces. Mikhail discloses a secret. He has the ability to hear the voice of God. The revelation echoes through the silent forest. Met with disbelief and skepticism, the group struggles to process the enormity of his claim, especially in a world where even saints were not believed to hear God's voice. Leon looks at our boy with a questioning gaze, finding it hard to believe. The spirit companion confirms Leon's doubt, validating the situation. Cassandra, curious, asks our boy for more details about the message he had received. Surprise crosses Helen's face, and she quickly advises Cassandra to let the matter rest. Mikhail, undeterred, smiles and shares the peculiar nature of the divine message. He explains that God had instructed him to take action, symbolically referring to the stagnation and decay in the current Holy Empire. Mikhail elaborates, lamenting that the empire had rotted completely under the influence of the elderly archbishops. Cassandra appears puzzled, prompting our boy to explain further. He clarifies that, like stagnant water destined to rot, the Holy Empire has become completely corrupted. The gravity of our boy's revelation challenges the conventional understanding of divine communication. He tells Cassandra that his mission, ordained by God, is to dismantle the corruption within the Holy Empire. With a determined spirit, Mikhail urges his companions to break free from the manipulative control of the old archbishops. Cassandra, momentarily speechless, struggles with the implications of their mission. The narrative shifts to near the capital of the Holy Empire, where the Spire of the Saints stands in the distance. Leon points out the spire, marking their arrival in the Holy Empire. Mikhail acknowledges its significance, understanding that it signals their entrance into the heart of the empire. As they approach a checkpoint before entering the capital, a worker greets them and asks for their names, nation, and purpose for visiting. Our boy hands over a letter containing an invitation from Archbishop Arley. The worker, surprised, assures our boy that he will examine the letter's contents. Unbothered by the worker's surprise, our boy confidently suggests that the worker must have expected their arrival. The worker, now more focused, promises to investigate the letter immediately. As the worker inspects the letter, a soft pink aura envelops it, indicating a magical enchantment. In response, the worker asks our boy for a drop of his blood on the letter. Mikhail complies, offering a small drop, which satisfies the worker. This confirms Mikhail's identity, allowing the group to enter the capital. As they cross into the capital, Mikhail reflects on the caution shown by the high elders of the Holy Empire, particularly regarding the selection of warriors. In the world of warriors, the dynamics are different. Even if they lose their official ranks, the essence of a warrior remains unchanged. Onlookers from the Holy Empire watch them, curious and observant. Our boy notices the attention he's drawing from the crowd, mixed with interest and uncertainty. Leon comments on it, and our boy expresses his intention to intensify that attention. He turns to Seth, the spirit companion, and instructs her to prepare for a demonstration. Seth acknowledges the directive, and Mikhail uses a tool crafted from a branch of the world tree to create an aura of divine power around himself. The display leaves the spectators in shock. This demonstration serves two purposes: showcasing Mikhail's capabilities and ensuring any spies sent by the old nobles of the Holy Empire witness and report it back. During the display, a butler discreetly approaches our boy and informs him about the presence of unwanted guests in the crowd. Our boy acknowledges the information and thanks the butler. He then grants the butler some time off, assuring him that he won't interfere with his personal pursuits. The butler is given the choice to relax, recreate, or solve a puzzle. Mikhail smiles and grants him a break, telling him to enjoy his time as he wishes. The butler, surprised but amused, thanks Mikhail and accepts the offer casually. Our boy then signals to Leon and the others that it's time to proceed. Meanwhile, inside the Holy Palace, A spy informs Archbishop Ken of the startling news that our boy possesses divine power. The Archbishop is shocked and dismisses the idea, arguing that the Walpurgis family's lineage is rooted in magic, making it impossible for them to wield divine energy. He insists that mana and divine energy cannot combine, calling the idea a myth. Struggling to understand this, he finds it hard to accept that Mikhail could use both energies. The spies then reveal another surprising fact. Cassandra is part of Mikhail's group, which leaves Archbishop Ken even more astonished. Our boy steps into the sacred halls of the Holy Palace, where a figure with blue hair thanks him for undertaking the journey. Sihan, the intermediate priest, is introduced as the one assigned to assist our boy. He mentions that the aura of holiness awaits them inside the room. Sihan notices the youthfulness of the priest and silently reflects on the responsibilities placed on someone so young. Despite this, Mikhail decides to defer to Sihan, allowing him to lead in the upcoming encounter. However, Sihan interjects, reminding Mikhail that his companions cannot accompany him into the sacred chamber. This is a necessary but inconvenient truth, prompting our boy to consider informing his companions. Our boy calls Arlie over for a private conversation. When Arlie approaches, Mikhail speaks about Archbishop Ken's knowledge of her existence, a revelation that carries significant implications. Arlie acknowledges that she is aware of the situation. A moment of anticipation hangs in the air as Arlie asks for guidance on the next course of action. Mikhail's response is straightforward and supportive. He assures Arlie that no matter what decision she makes, he will stand by her and offer help. This unconditional support catches Arlie off guard, prompting her to seek clarification. Mikhail explains that the decision is entirely hers, showing his trust and respect for her autonomy. Arlie acknowledges this and assures our boy that she will do what she believes is right. Our boy tells her that he trusts her to handle the situation. With that, Mikhail turns his attention back to Sihan, recognizing that their journey through the sacred palace is about to begin. Before the conversation can continue, Arlie pauses and shares her personal reasons for leaving the Holy Nation. Arlie decides to share a piece of her history, a decision that shows her trust in Mikhail. Our boy, intrigued by the revelation, encourages her to share her story. This act reflects the trust that has developed between them. As our boy moves into the room, leaving Arlie to her thoughts, Helen quietly approaches her. Helen, ever practical, questions the wisdom of sharing such personal details with our boy. Cassandra, confident in her trust in our boy, calmly expresses her loyalty and reliance on the bond they've formed. Leon, meanwhile, admires the grandeur of the holy place, appreciating its sanctity and significance to the Holy Nation. Acknowledging Leon's sentiments, Cassandra briefly mentions her past, particularly her humble beginnings in the slums, adding depth to her character. However, Helen, perhaps trying to protect Cassandra from unnecessary exposure, redirects the conversation. Cassandra reassures Helen that the past is just that, a chapter left behind. Describing the deep connection she feels with the Holy Nation, Cassandra tells Leon it is a guiding light that saved her from the hardships of the slums. She expresses a strong desire for the Holy Nation to maintain its essence, much like when she first saw its grandeur in the Holy Palace. Cassandra shares that Mikhail has given her the freedom to act as she chooses, and despite the elders' skepticism toward her prophetic insights, she feels the need to earn their trust through actions. The scene shifts to Mikhail, who is in a meeting with the priest Sahan. Sahan informs our boy of rumors about a supposed miracle at the front gates. Surprised by the spread of such tales, our boy confirms that it is indeed a manifestation of holy energy. He questions Sahan about the unusual nature of a magician wielding such power. Sahan, visibly impressed, expresses his fascination with Mikhail's magical abilities, admitting that he has never seen such power in previous warriors. Mikhail tells Sihan that he finds it strange, as he thought the Holy Nation had already chosen their next warrior. Sihan shares his positive opinion of Siegfried, the presumed successor, describing him as someone who compensates for a lack of knowledge with other qualities. Noticing Mikhail's serious expression, Sihan quickly apologizes, worried that he may have overstepped. Our boy, in turn, grasps Sihan's hand, acknowledging their connection and recognizing the potential significance of the intermediate priest in the unfolding events. As they approach the holiness room, our boy learns that Sihan, as an intermediate priest, has the privilege of entering first. Before parting ways, Sihan offers Mikhail a blessing, invoking the divine favor of Hika. Left outside the room, Mikhail prepares for his meeting with the holiness. When our boy opens the door, he is surprised to find Siegfried, with golden hair, standing before him. The unexpected encounter disrupts Mikhail's expectations, leaving him in momentary disbelief. A few minutes earlier, our boy questioned Cassandra about her departure from the sacred land. She explained that her leaving wasn't just about a disagreement over her prophecy. Cassandra revealed that the public version of the prophecy was distorted. She described a world consumed by chaos, set ablaze by a demon god, with blood flowing through the land. Amid this disaster, A hero would rise, symbolized by a lion with a golden mane and an inverted sun around its neck. However, Cassandra hinted that this hero might eventually fall. Mikhail is stunned. The hero's power is beyond the understanding of the Holy Nation, making it logical for the archbishops to hide such a negative prophecy. As he processes this, a realization hits. The golden-maned lion reminds him of Siegfried's golden hair. The scene shifts to the holiness room where our boy faces Siegfried. Seeing Siegfried triggers a surge of anger, but Mikhail decides to hold it back. After a moment of calm, he addresses the holiness with practiced politeness, thanking them for the audience. The holiness acknowledges our boy's respectful demeanor and responds. Mikhail then asks about Siegfried's identity. The holiness reveals that Siegfried is the prodigy of the Golden Lion Knights, a hero candidate. This means both our boy and Siegfried are potential heirs to the hero's mantle, and the next hero is likely to come from one of them. Representing chivalry, Siegfried offers a handshake. As Mikhail shakes his hand, frustration rises within him. The touch of Siegfried's hand seems to release his divine energy, subtly entering our boy's space. It feels like Siegfried is testing Mikhail's strength, silently challenging him. With a slight grin, Mikhail decides to respond, using his free circulation method to channel his own divine energy. A question lingers in our boy's mind. Did Siegfried intentionally connect their energies, or did it happen by accident during the handshake? The answer comes when Siegfried tries to pull his hand away but encounters an unexpected barrier of our boy's mana. The collision surprises Siegfried, who asks Mikhail to release his grip, warning that it could endanger his life. Reluctantly, Mikhail lets go, freeing Siegfried. The holiness, watching silently, observes our boy's divine energy closely, noting its purity in a moment of realization. The holiness recognizes that our boy's divine energy is unusually pure, possibly even surpassing his own. Intrigued, he asks Mikhail about the source of this energy. Mikhail confidently states that he received a revelation. The holiness, skeptical of the claim, admires Mikhail's ability to lie with such certainty. Siegfried, recovering from the ethereal encounter, interrupts, pointing out that revelations to humans stopped after the prophecy wars, and even the holiness has not received one. Our boy, with a confident smirk, dismisses Siegfried's doubts, arguing that the hero, being inherently unique, transcends the limits of the holiness, and questioning his divine essence is blasphemous. Realizing his mistake, Siegfried humbly apologizes, easing the tension in the room. Despite this, our boy remains firm and suggests they work together to study the prophecy for a clearer understanding. Aware of the need for a plausible excuse, Mikhail nods to the holiness and promises to share the revelation he received. His attention is suddenly diverted, however, when a mysterious girl appears before him. She moves with an almost feline grace and recognizes Mikhail's ability to sense her presence. Surprised, Mikhail tries to understand who she is, as she seems to manipulate time effortlessly. The time freeze creates a surreal atmosphere as she approaches him and asks about his perception of her. Considering her abilities, our boy links her to a rare group of individuals capable of such feats, the name Hekau coming to mind. The girl smiles knowingly, confirming our boy's suspicion. She has a blend of Hekau's abilities, but her demeanor is playful rather than stern, suggesting a complex relationship between them that goes beyond normal interactions. Seth states that Hekau is not the other half of Asura, but rather a fragmented part that separated from him. Seth recalls a time when Hekau, instead of fighting, had shed tears. This memory triggers an outburst, and in anger, Hekau pushes Seth to the ground before turning her attention back to our boy. She acknowledges him as the successor. Confused, Mikhail asks for an explanation of the title. Hekau explains that Mikhail has already received parts of Asura and will continue to gain more, thus becoming the successor to Asura's legacy. Despite this revelation, Hekau notices the perceived disrespect in our boy's gaze. With a serious expression, our boy questions Hekau about her lack of action regarding urgent matters, such as the Desting World Tree and the threat of a great demon gathering troops. He asks why she remains passive. With a cryptic smile, Hekau acknowledges our boy's frustration and explains her reasons for not immediately acting on his concerns. This revelation hints at a deeper connection, leaving Mikhail with more questions than answers. Undeterred, he asks Hekau for clarity on her motivations. Hekau forms a pattern with her fingers against her lips as she explains that despite being labeled a god and sharing a similar existence with him, her words have failed to reach him. She dismisses any notion of perfection. When Mikhail asks about the implications of her godhood, Hekau promises to explain the details later, as the story is too complex for a quick explanation. Hekau then reveals an unusual problem. Her voice cannot reach her own children, and they refuse to accept the prophecy she shared with them. Our boy asks about her intentions, and Hekau explains that for some unknown reason, he is the only human she can communicate with, urging him to figure out why. She adds that if Mikhail can solve her problem, it would be greatly appreciated. With a casual flick of her finger, time resumes its normal flow. Siegfried, curious about the prophecy, approaches Mikhail, prompting him to consider the impending threat of the demon god. The urgency of the situation weighs heavily on Mikhail, but before discussing the prophecy, he decides to share a revelation of his own. Our boy expresses his disappointment with the current state of the Holy Nation. The holiness stands in shock, and Siegfried, loyal to the Holy Empire, defends its honor. Undeterred by Siegfried's defense, Mikhail challenges him, pointing out that Siegfried has not yet confirmed the accuracy of the prophecy before defending it. With a stern gaze, Mikhail silences Siegfried, urging him to reflect before speaking further. Redirecting his attention to the holiness, our boy introduces a cryptic prophecy from the past. It foretells that the holiness has two children, one within reach and the other lost. This prophecy suggests that things will not unfold favorably for the holiness. The revelation leaves the holiness struggling to understand its vague meaning. Confident in the importance of accuracy over origin, Mikhail states that if he makes the prophecy accurate, it will be true. The holiness, still grappling with the message, suggests ending the conversation, reminding both Siegfried and our boy of the heavy expectations placed on them by the people. As Mikhail prepares to leave, the holiness hesitates, as if about to ask something, but refrains. Our boy reassures the holiness that everything will unfold as intended, and if it deviates, he will ensure it is corrected. After leaving the holy palace, Mikhail finds that a seal has been placed on him. Siegfried, acknowledging Mikhail as their only hope, explains that it is the least they can do. Siegfried jokingly asks if our boy's whole body will soon be covered in seals, to which our boy casually replies, "Maybe." Together, they decide to head to Cassandra. Meanwhile, at Cassandra's location, Leon witnesses Helen in a skirmish with a knight. The knight, asking about Cassandra's whereabouts, expresses a desire to meet her. Helen stands her ground, telling the knight that he has no right to make demands. The knight, however, argues that their return shows recognition of the holy nation's righteousness. Helen strongly disagrees, but the knight presses on, saying that Cassandra, as a member of the holy nation, should naturally be present. The knight subtly implies that Helen is in the wrong. Noticing the situation could escalate, Leon intervenes and urges the knight to stop. The knight ignores Leon's plea, prompting him to assert that Helen is his ally due to the Parcelope family name. Unfazed, the knight acknowledges Leon as the Empire's genius, but insists he has no choice. As the knight draws his sword, Leon recognizes him as the White Knight, the vice-captain of the Holy Knights. The knight warns Leon to step aside, but Leon stands firm, preparing for a fight. The knight attacks, but Leon skillfully blocks his strikes. Cassandra, sensing the tension, steps forward, urging them to stop and expressing surprise at the knight's sudden appearance. Cassandra questions the knight's motives. He assures her that the archbishop regrets past events and promises a different approach this time, inviting Cassandra to accompany him. She considers the possibility that he might share the archbishop's beliefs, especially given Ken's focus on maintaining order. However, concern creeps in as Cassandra wonders if returning might mean being restricted by the strict rules enforced by Archbishop Ken, limiting her freedom to leave. Filled with apprehension, she confronts the knight about his intentions, firmly refusing to comply with his demands. In response, the knight subtly implies that he might use force if she continues to refuse, urging her to reconsider. He gives her a choice with serious consequences, forcing her to weigh her options. Mikhail, cloaked in mystery and wielding powerful fire magic, intervenes with a controlled display of elemental power. His actions show his commitment to protecting Cassandra, reminding his promise to keep her safe. Taking control of the situation, Mikhail instructs him to leave without worrying about Cassandra. Mikhail tries to justify his actions by emphasizing the importance of the holy nation, claiming that while he may aspire to become a warrior, he doesn't have the authority to stop the holy knights, who are loyal to the nation and its order. Our boy counters his assertion with a slight grin, suggesting that he may not fully understand the laws of the holy nation. He offers to explain them, implying that the situation might not be as simple as it seems. Cassandra had left the holy nation, and she wasn't without reason for doing so. She was now with the warrior candidate. Mikhail suggested discussing the matter with Archbishop Kilian. However, the knight's expression made it clear he disagreed. Noticing this, Mikhail instructed him to leave and warned him not to do anything reckless again. Meanwhile, our boy was determined to speak with Helen. In a quiet room, he turned to Helen and asked him to take off the helmet.